we're good to go. And then Anthony Aguilar is joining at 8:30, which is 9:30 his time. How are we doing?
How are we doing? We are doing fantastic.
Yes,
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Here's the thing. As far as the news cycle goes, I'm kind of blown away right now again. But as far as life goes, I'm doing good. You know, on a small local level, and you start to think about the world, start to like look up at the stars, and you're like, damn, this is a big planet, and then you're like, fuck. But no, I'm doing great. And happy to be here. Is this 83?
We'll pull up the comments. We want to see how everybody's doing.
Yes, we do. Is this episode 83?
Is it 83? I thought it was 82. I could be wrong.
All right, please.
82.
Please repost. Please repost. We got a big guest tonight.
Anthony
Aguilar. We got Anthony Aguilar coming on. We're looking forward to having him on the program. Very distinguished gentleman, of course, leading geopolitical analyst, former Green Beret, and running for Congress, I believe, in North Carolina as well. But he's on all the big networks.
I'm
programs.
sure he's tired of telling his story, but I really am curious about the Gaza stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing that really got him involved with, like speaking out and talking about these things. And, just like generally, like the vibe that I get from Anthony is that he wants to provide more information to the public, right? And like everyone else that we see that, gets put in the position of doing, the job where they're in front of the camera, that is like hired to do that on like a big network or like a big alternative one or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just not the same vibe.
Not the same vibe.
Like, and I trust people with the experience a lot more, right? Like I really do. So like, as far I want to see more like business people, military people getting into politics.
Dude, Green Beret is no joke though.
Yeah, no,
that's like elite.
No, he's an operator.
Elite killer.
He's an operator.
Yeah,
he's a badass.
That's crazy.
Patriot.
Happy Father's Day to all the gents out there. Yes, yeah. Ashley, happy Father's Day to every single father out there.
Yes, dude, once a year I can hit the Twitter engagement pretty good. one time a year. It's like the planets align and it's all coming together. But I posted some cool photos of me and my dad.
Did you get to talk to him today?
A little bit, yeah. He's doing good. He did the show. He did the show. I watched a little bit of it.
He was tired after.
Well, dude, it's just I think my Mark Levin is the best. Hezbollah. I think my Mark Levin impression is literally the best. And I've heard Fuentes's, which is kind of just like a play on like a Jewish accent. In general, doesn't even sound like Mark Levin. Then my dad, he can kind of do it. But you really gotta understand, don't you, Mr. Producer? Like you gotta watch him. Yeah. You gotta watch his show. And I've unfortunately I've been doing that. And like one of the main things that these type of people say, Mark Levin has said it. I think Ben Shapiro also said it. And it's like a talking point regarding what's going on. This ties into what we're going to cover with Anthony Aguilar. Is one of the things they've said is 1 second, sorry, I'm blanking, but I still have it. Oh, it's like we don't have. It's so stupid. It like flew out of my head. We haven't seen the MOU yet, Mr. Producer. Have we seen it? Well, Hamas and Hezbollah, they better not be getting paid off this, Mr. President. I'm not afraid to speak truth to power.
Dude, now I can't even say Hezbollah anymore.
No, it's Hezbollah. Hezbollah. It's funny. My dad says Hezbollah. He goes Hezbollah, and that's not correct either. It's not Hezbollah, and it's not also Hezbollah. I think it's just Hezbollah.
Yeah.
No, it's like Hezbollah.
No, just Hezbollah.
All right, we said it like 20 times. But yeah, what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's just one of the part of the mega starting five there.
Oh,
so.
dude, we got a real like players ball of the.
Oh, he loves ball.
They're Olympic ball washers.
Olympic ball washers. You know, Mark Levin knows ball. If you guys know anything about that,
I'm aware. I've located. Every time the president's needed me, let's just say I've been there.
Yeah, I know how to dribble it. Mr. I know how to dribble it. I know how to dunk it.
Every time I do a good job, it gives me another.
Sometimes I do a little crossover.
Every time I make Netanyahu happy, he gives me another lapel pin. Like that's what he does it for those pins. Have you seen his pin gets bigger over time?
Yeah.
And then it gets smaller. Like he like moves it around. It's like more people notice it. He gets rid of the brooch and then he brings it back.
100%.
These people are psychotic. Look, let's throw that up real quick. Come on. He's the star of the show.
Go ahead, throw it up there.
And I do have Mark Levin clips. You know what? Before Anthony joins us, because he's going to join us at 8:30, you want to just start off by going to Mark Levin Because it is actually the oldest clip that I have. Like,
It's fine. You know me. I love my micro mark moments.
Really quick, like 30-second here. So we're going to get into the failed negotiations today, where the Iranian team led by Foreign Minister Arachi walked out, and we got clips of that. We got JD Vance there. We got a lot to cover. We got Trump statements as well, threatening to kill them before they go home.
Right. Oh, and before I'm forgetting, also I'm doing the deep dive on Anthony Fauci. If you have seen. Tulsi Gabbard came out with a whole bunch of files. I kind of sifted through, figured out the ones that we really want to pay attention to. It just shows why he got a pardon. And now she just, I feel like they're just coming out with all this stuff just to get some wins. They're trying to get some wins.
And the thing is like it's low-hanging fruit that they should have done on day one.
100%.
Like
there's no reason these files couldn't have came out before.
It's like, like you depend on me, Tim, to like, I don't know, deliver like, like food to a party, like cater a party. And then I show up like 4 hours late and I'm like, I have a bunch of like applesauce. Are you interested? And you're like, well, it's caloric. Like, we're not going to starve to death. But no, we ordered like steak and lobster and stuff. So like, no, I'm not happy with that.
No, I'm not happy with that.
But it is key because he's a villain.
He's a villain, bro. And I didn't really look into him. This is going to be COVID related, but it's also going to be about his past and what he's done in particular with these files, proving things that he was involved in. It's just conflict of interest all the way around.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
I'm gonna get into it later, but just reading the stuff just pissed me off even more, realizing how propagandized I was, and I'm a walking specimen. I'm gonna end up with like a third arm like 10 years from now.
You're gonna get lucky. You got a dud.
I really hope I did get a dud. I'm not gonna lie. Some people weren't that lucky. I've seen some of the after effects, but anyways, we're gonna get into it. We got Anthony Aguilar coming on in 5 minutes.
Yeah, super.
We could jump into one of the.
That's what I was saying, and it might be fun to have him come in as we're reacting to Levin. Let's go ahead and go to Levin Bully. It's all caps, and then everything else really quick. There was like a conference today. There was like a Jewish conference or whatever in Israel. It was in Jerusalem. Mark Levin spoke there. Huckabee spoke there. A bunch of other people spoke there and said some pretty outrageous things. One guy said, I speak as a goy, a mere goy. And I'm like, okay, replace that with like the F slur or like the N word. Like, so you see what I'm saying? Like hard R. Like it's a slur. Like he's not saying like, yo, he's saying like, I'm a derogatory term for myself, which is crazy work. Crazy work. We'll get into all of it.
Boys.
Let's watch Levin.
I want to say to people in and out of the administration, stop trashing, smearing, bullying the little state of Israel. Stop cozying up to and telling us that the enemy regime in Iran is now more rational, more moderate, and a regime that we can deal with. When just a few months ago they slaughtered 50,000 people, they're still hanging young people today. And if they had a nuclear missile today, they'd fire it into our country as sure as I'm alive. I don't know what's going on, but if people think they can bully a little country, a people that have existed 4,000 years, through the Babylonians and the Persians, through the Romans and the Third Reich, into surrendering their defense and their decision on how to secure their country, they got another thing coming. I want to say to people in and out of
You're not wrong about that pin growing.
No,
I remember it being like a small one that kind of had Israel and United States. It was just a small little lapel with like a dual flag.
It's changed. It's mutated.
Huge.
It's upgraded itself. It's it's real weird.
It's mutated.
He's also got like mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
On his left there, I guess it's his right.
Who has the biggest balls of them all?
That would be Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Dude, my Mark Levin's good, bro. It sounds like him. It sounds almost like him, almost just like him. But the thing to me, he's like, well, if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. They'd use it. Don't you believe that, Mr. Producer? And it's like, the thing about that, Mark, is like, oh, what if they had a big red button that just blew up America? Like, they don't have a nuclear weapon.
They don't.
They don't have a nuclear weapon. All of this, like, hypothetical, he washes the balls of the president who claimed to destroy the nuclear potential back last year.
Yeah.
So you see, like, the hypocrisy is insane.
No, 100%. Here's the thing. Guys like Mark Levin take the narrative, like, super extreme. I'm not gonna lie. I already kind of put my stance on it last week when I told you about the fact that they do have their proxy groups of terrorist networks. I'm not gonna sit there and sugarcoat that. That does exist. It's bad. It's not good for the world. But at the same time, they're not sitting there itching to press the nuclear button to blow up the entire world.
They would be all dead.
We would all be dead.
Well,
yeah.
But them first, they would get nuked to hell.
I like that photo.
Let's throw it up. Real mega alert. Oh, man, dude. Let me tell you something.
Wes, I got to give Wes his props, bro. Ever since you started, from the beginning of you producing to now, it's just like, dude, you're on top of everything.
Dude, you're amazing.
Amazing.
Here, throw it up really quick one more time.
He says it's the methylene blue.
Let's go. Throw it. Now here's the thing, Tim. You don't understand this because you're not old enough yet, but you can get paid a lot of money to defend the interest of another state overseas, okay? Like, I do it because I love it, and I've been doing it all my life, but you need to do it because you can get rich doing it, okay? You see this gold chain? This is 24 karat. I ride on 24-inch chrome. I'm Mark Levin. Hamas and Hezbollah do not have S-300 series, okay? All right. I have to write lines for it.
No, dude, it's so good.
It's hard to think of because you gotta he says different words different ways.
No, 100%. Yeah. No, but
it makes me want to do voice acting, bro. Man, I would love to play him as a character on a show.
No, 100%. Dude, look, okay, we got Anthony in the building.
Yeah, so we're having fun.
Well, before bringing him on, all right, we'll let Wes go ahead and get him set up. But go ahead and kind of introduce who Anthony is for the audience here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had a nice description that I wrote on InfoWars or Alex Jones Network. I didn't end up reading it last time. We're being joined by Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar. He's a decorated United States Army Special Forces Green Beret, West Point graduate, and leading geopolitical analyst with 25 years of distinguished service, a combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan. He earned the Purple Heart for wounds sustained in Mosul and the Bronze Star Medal for valor. After retiring in 2024, his unwavering commitment to truth and American values led him to become a prominent whistleblower on conditions at U.S.-backed aid sites in Gaza. He is now running as a Green Party candidate. Or are you? Are you independent or are you Green Party?
Independent.
Independent now for U.S. Congress in North Carolina's 13th District. Anthony, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. It's great to be on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we had you on the morning show.
Yeah, I've heard great things about you. I was like, hey, we got to get this guy on.
Morning show, then Alex Jones Network. My dad's like, Rick, I got to be gone. You got to host. I'm like, okay, awesome. And I'm like, who's the number one guy I can call? And I'm like, Anthony Aguilar, and had you on. I really appreciate our last conversation, and so much has happened in that brief span of time. What's your view on today's events where it appears Foreign Minister Arachi and the Iranians walked out of the negotiations, of course?
Yeah, the reports are that the Iranian contingent led by Foreign Minister Arachi either walked out of or suspended negotiations considering the memorandum of understanding. But if you look at the very memorandum of understanding that they were discussing, within point number 1 of that 14-point document, it clearly states that neither side will make threats at each other. Like we won't. It's like we won't talk shit.
Right.
And what did Donald Trump do today? So the convening of the negotiations today was already on thin ice because supposed to have met last week with the contingent of the U.S. and Iran, and then Israel's strikes in Israel killed 47 civilians, and this continued encroachment where it was clear to Iran that Israel is not going to play ball. They leverage and close the Strait of Hormuz. Negotiations were not showing up. So now the U.S. kind of offered some condolence or some concessions to that. So the Iranian group travels to Switzerland, meets up with the U.S. They sit down. I can imagine they sit down, U.S. on one side, Iran on the other, note takers, translators, people bringing in fancy coffee and fancy bottled water. And then all of a sudden you see this tweet come out from Donald Trump, and the Iranian continues like, yeah, we're out.
Wait,
see
so
you.
it was,
see you later.
It was that, and it wasn't the Lebanon attacks, because I thought it was more on the Lebanon attacks. Is that,
or was it a combination?
Or is it a combination?
No, the Lebanon attacks is what put the negotiations in Switzerland kind of already on very thin, fragile ice of even happening. And then Donald Trump provided assurances to Iran that, hey, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to talk to them. We're going to figure this out. Please come to Switzerland.
Right.
The Iranian travels to Switzerland. Strikes continued. Iran's response was, hey, if you're going to not follow this, then we're going to apply pain to you. Kind of this balance of power, with the understanding that there is something being discussed or worked out between the United States and Israel in addressing point number 1 of this MOU, and that the permanent and immediate stop to hostilities on all fronts to include Lebanon.
Yeah.
So
Right.
at the time, in between that, Israel did agree to a ceasefire and agreed to, at least in theory, at least in principle, to begin withdrawing from the north, across where they had taken Belfort Castle in northern Lebanon, across the Litani River, to withdraw from there, to withdraw south. And Lebanon was then willing to talk. And then Donald Trump's tweet today was the catalyst, was the fly in the ointment that, as these talks are coming back together, it's like, hey, I hit you. I'm sorry I hit you. Please come talk. And then as the person sitting down at the table, you slap them again. They're going to be like, all right, well, I'm out. So the aspect of Lebanon and the attacks and Israelis' presence there is certainly what put this on thin ice to begin with. This fragile reconvening was then shattered by this tweet that Donald Trump sent out. That is the reason that Foreign Minister Arachi has said that they walked out today. Now, that doesn't mean they're walking out altogether. They're getting back on a plane and flying back to Tehran. That in sitting down today, hey, we're not going on from here when you're going to continue to just openly, overtly, and in our face violate the very aspects of point number 1. If we can't even move past point number 1, what's the point in wasting our time in 2 through 14?
Right. And it's that junior partner problem. It's also the problem of like, are we truly agreement incapable? Like, do we have the agency to like actually put an end to the hostilities in the region versus being able to actually control Israel and what that looks like? I want to start playing a few clips for you here that I have set up. I've got Ben Gvir making, his latest genocidal statements. Yeah. This guy, he's demonic. He is. He's like Cartman, but real and evil, and it's not funny. It's scary, and everyone should wake up and realize that like we're not in Kansas anymore. Like when we see people like operate this way, like that's how people saw the Nazis operate. That's how people saw like Stalin, Mao operate, and they didn't do anything.
No.
Right? So like I want to go ahead and roll this first one. All of Lebanon will be our playground. How disgusting.
Yeah, go ahead and roll that, Wes.
Appreciate having you on.
Pause
Here, pause it, play it in 0.75 and mute it, and I'll read it. Yeah, they talk real fast. All right, but I do not accept this restriction that exists on certain areas in the state of Lebanon. All of Lebanon should become our playground. All of Lebanon should be our goal. Wow. And I say to myself, wait a minute, but there is Lebanon and there is Hezbollah. I don't accept this artificial approach. Lebanon has a country. There is a name in the Lebanese government. Hezbollah members are on behalf of Hezbollah. They have a revolving door policy. What do you think of that? Here, pause it. What do you think of that, Anthony?
Well, so what Ben Gvir is now doing, even in itself incorrect and inaccurate, but in that very generalized approach is saying that Hezbollah is Lebanon, Lebanon is Hezbollah. Hezbollah is our enemy, therefore all of Lebanon is our enemy. They do the exact same thing in Gaza.
Right, and that's that thing about collective punishment, right? He says
collective punishment.
For every one of our women that weep, 1,000 of yours will weep because we'll assumingly kill like 1,000 of their children. That's how I take that.
Now,
then collective punishment.
Yep.
Though we also all agree that it's wrong.
Right.
Is specifically stated in the Geneva Convention, in the 4th protocols of the Geneva Convention. Collective punishment is a war crime.
Right.
There's no question about it. It's not sometimes or if. So by his very own statements, and it wouldn't be the first time that Ben Gvir has uttered atrocities that are war crimes,
Right.
But that's who we're contending with. That's our junior partner in this agreement with Iran is Ben Gvir and Netanyahu and Smotrich and Israel Katz. That's our junior partner, and we're supposed to start negotiating a peaceful end of terms with Iran when the very first point our junior partner is going to just continue to implode upon.
Right.
Question for you, because
Yes, sir.
you were involved in Gaza, but I'm sure your mindset of how you feel about the United States and Israel relationship has probably shifted over time. Can you speak to that?
My perspective and my knowledge and information and feelings towards the U.S.-Israeli relationship has shifted quite a bit based on what I've learned, what I've witnessed, what I've known. A lot of things that prior to going to, the United States works with Israeli forces quite a bit in training exercises and joint exercises. You don't really see the IDF in combat or in their actual role because they have never been our partner or have come to our aid in Iran or in Afghanistan or Iraq or in Syria. So we just kind of take them at their word that they're great at what they do. Very few Americans have had the opportunity to go in or at least even have military background to see them operating in Gaza. And when I saw them operating in Gaza, I was like, this whole notion, this whole fantasy that they are the best army and the most moral army and they X, Y, and Z. I saw it with my own eyes and I was like, that is not true. That is not true. So then what else is not true? And as I continue to look through things, I'm like, okay, well, the ceasefire that we're supposedly have with through this Board of Peace in Gaza, there's no ceasefire. They're still withholding humanitarian aid. We're where it's known that children from infants to young adults to mothers and fathers are dying of starvation, disease, and famine. And the Israeli army is not only not the best army in the world, the IDF, they're not even the best army in Gaza. I would put Hamas against them in terms of pound for pound performance. And definitely Hezbollah. If you look on the ground, Hezbollah is handing Israeli tactical defeats daily.
Right. I had a question I wanted to ask you, and I saw someone else comment on this. I forget who it was. Is it true that they're not defining their borders right now?
Very true. They are refusing to define their borders when that question's asked, very simply, hey, Netanyahu, here's a map. Will you confirm that this is Israel? Well, it's like, that's a pretty clear black and white answer. Like, there's my borders. But yeah, to that point of where there's a very interesting map that the Institute for the Study of War has produced that shows where Israel currently occupies territory in Lebanon, in the south, all the way up through that eastern border up to Mount Hebron, all the way then into Sheba Farms, where the Golan Heights are. And you look at that to where they're now defining that as at least on the ground as this kind of like, 9/10 of the law, I own it, possession. Is kind of like that's their new pseudo border. So when you ask them in terms of defining your border, that puts them in a corner of the question of, well, here's our border. Well, then the next question is, well, then why are you there? If this is your border, then why are you here? So they avoid the question and they refuse to define those borders because it's obviously an unpopular position that Israel has.
Okay, so I want you to clearly define something for not just myself, but a lot of the audience, because part of Israel's justification is the threats of the quote-unquote terrorist groups. Now, from what I've researched and what I've seen, there's some legitimacy to what I guess Hamas's charter and maybe what Hezbollah is, but I think Israel has taken it too far as the collective punishment, if you will. So what is causing this revolving door of conflict? Like, is it truly expansion? Is it the expansion and then the being upset of like the what was happening in the West Bank and Israel kind of moving out and expanding into that region, which caused Hamas to start attacking? Or is this a lot deeper than even that reasoning or rationale at the beginning? Because it's really hard to tell in this negative feedback loop who is doing what's perpetuating it. Yeah.
No, it's kind of like the chicken or the egg argument, right?
Exactly.
So when you look at that in terms of what is Hezbollah and why and when did they begin to exist? If Hezbollah existed long before Israel and Israel comes into existence, and then Hezbollah is, oh, we got a problem with you. No, Hezbollah did not come into existence until 1983. And they came into resistance as a collective response came into existence as a collective response of resistance against Israel after the Sabra and Shatila massacres in Lebanon, where Israel invaded Lebanon. And the Lebanese government, the Lebanese army, didn't do very much to stop, prevent, or then push them out. So imagine amongst the people, imagine right here in the good old United States, if you live in South Carolina or let's say you live in North Dakota, and Canada were to invade you, and the United States government did nothing to send National Guard, reserves, or forces to defend your land, to defend your family, would you take up arms as the resistance against the Canadians?
Well, this is
yeah.
It's like they're terrorists and they resist us, and that's the thing. Is like, okay,
that's right.
Like, why are you on their land? And this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me. It's like the majority of the American youth, whether they're on the left or the right, they don't like colonial projects. They view them as wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that really gives me hope about this whole situation is that whatever happens in the future, 10, 20 years, when we're not dealing with these people, when we have a younger class of people, just across the world in government, I think a lot of these things are going to change. I hope so before the world blows up, at least. You were touching on something that I also found interesting earlier, talking about the IDF and kind of some of their lack of capability and some of their overhypedness or whatever. Mm-hmm. When it comes to that, Trump agrees with you. And Trump has been making statements about this. Trump has been saying you don't need to blow up an entire apartment building or whatever he said to get one person. He called it unnecessary, I believe. And Wes, if you can pull it up, I have Trump, Syrian terrorists would have done a much better job than the IDF. Let's go ahead and pull that up. And after that, let's play Trump crashes out and threatens negotiators. I'm going to run through a few of these clips. I appreciate it. Because he's here's the thing is like he has a little more agency than I originally believed.
Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, you thought, yeah.
I don't know anymore. Like, I'm a 23-year-old. I really don't know what's going on. I'm not up on Capitol Hill or anything. But, like, to me, I don't know, the behavior's been real odd. It's very, honestly, it's reminded me a lot of Biden. A lot of, like, you don't tell me what to do type of stuff. The old man behavior. Mm. But we'll play it now.
And by Hezbollah, the Israelis responded with a series of airstrikes across southern Lebanon. The president told me he is disappointed Israel can't put Hezbollah away. He went on to say they can't do anything without knocking buildings down, and that he is close to giving it to Syria. And he is talking about empowering Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara to actually go into southern Lebanon and fight Hezbollah, because the president believes that he would do a more precise job in terms of the way he would deal with Hezbollah, not knocking down buildings, but fighting them on the ground.
Chopping off heads, perhaps.
So we're saying let's give a former terrorist weapons to go handle the problem when typically we cause the problems by handing the terrorists the weapons in the first place. What is your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, it was both an under the table insult at Netanyahu and the IDF. But it was also very indicative of how the United States at times sees our foreign policy or our intervention, if you will. And in things that we've done in nearly every country that we have fought in modern history, we arm the bad people. Yeah. I mean, we do. I mean, like Al-Qaeda grew in Iraq, AQIZ, because we backed and armed the wrong people. And then once we imprisoned all those people and put them all together where they could all convene and come up with a greater idea, ISIS was formed, and we created that.
Dude, when you put it like that, that's so bad.
It's just the truth.
I know. And former terrorist is the same as former CIA. You know,
I mean, we created these entities and these organizations all the way through. I'll even go back and say that the United States, absolutely without a doubt, created Al-Qaeda, planted the seed, watered it, gave it sunshine, pruned it, and when it grew up to be a real thing, we abandoned it. And then we got pissed when it grew into a lemon tree and took over our garden with sour lemons that we could no longer control, but we planted it. Yep. We planted, pruned it, and groomed it.
Right.
100%.
Were they the moderate rebels or was that the Taliban? I forget.
Well, yeah. When you go back and you look at it and you're like, okay, let's go back to how, Osama bin Laden and his Mujahideen grew in Afghanistan at the time. The reason we backed them is because they were willing to go and actually fight the Soviets, not just sit down and have negotiations, not just wait and, secede certain parts of land or give in. They were willing to take the U.S. approach of not an inch. And we were like, hey, that's what we want, not an inch. Don't let them negotiate. We want you. And then after they won and we fought, the Taliban came in and said, hey, we have it now. We're going to take it. And then Osama bin Laden was like, hey, you should back me, America. Remember? Freedom fighters, we fought them like us. And we're like, well, you're you don't necessarily agree with all your Islam stuff. Essentially. So we back the Taliban in terms of coming into power, or at least don't resist it. And then years later here, we're going in, same thing that we did. We did it over again. Yes. And what's so interesting about Afghanistan from the beginning to the end, and at least in my life and my perspective, because I was there from the beginning to the end, from the last plane that left and witnessed what I witnessed, in that we go in with the Northern Alliance and we defeat the Taliban. And then the Northern Alliance is like, even the Northern Alliance told us, they're like, we probably shouldn't be in control because we're all a bunch of warlords and we're all just going to fight each other. And then we're like, aha, we have an answer. His name is Hamid Karzai. And all the warlords were like, he's the worst. He's the worst warlord of us all. No, not him. And we put him in charge and no one could agree with each other. And then after he moved on, we put in a very moderate, soft, we stuck him in there. We called it then now we're naming it the Jaroa, the government of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, the Jaroa. And everybody else is like, wait, what does that even mean? I thought we were moving away from that, but now we're going back to it. Like, who's in charge? And then the Taliban, the whole time, the Taliban are like, we're just growing because you idiots can't decide what you're doing, what your objective is. And you go into every village and you kill everything. And when you leave, everybody just comes back to us and they say, please, Taliban, can you please do something to get rid of them? We'll take you over them. We'll take the stonings in the stadiums and having to wear the full veil. We'll do that rather than having them here. And that's the truth, because the Taliban took power back in those waning days in Afghanistan and took over the whole country in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks. You don't do that if the people don't want you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really quick, I know you got a point here. Really quick, I mean, that was some of the most heinous footage I've ever seen of the people falling off the planes, and then the bombings that killed, I think that was 13 Marines died as well.
Abbey Gate.
Yeah, Abbey Gate, absolutely unconscionable. And that disastrous evacuation, Biden's defense to that is, I'm taking you out of the war.
Well, somebody close to me, his job is literally in charge of shipping and supplies and coordination, and all of his guys went over there to handle that. From the inside, they said it was absolute disaster. They had no idea, no directive.
It was absolute chaos.
Yeah, it was chaos.
Who was in charge of the U.S. withdrawal? Was it State Department or was it DOD? Who from DOD was in charge? And then we had Brits. Who is it? Is it a coalition because we have other embassies that have to get out of there? Who's in charge of it all? Who's the MFIC? It took a few days to figure that out. And watching this every single day from the core operations center here at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and watching it and then being there and looking at it. And when it all came down to the end, the last aircraft, Reach 881, C-17 call sign, the last airplane to leave with the last man in Afghanistan. And the night before that, in learning in terms of how we're going to leave, oh, wait, We have no air defenses. We have no perimeter-based security. Nope. We have no security on the ground. You know, you're not flying in and out of Las Vegas. You're flying in and out of a war zone. So who's gonna make sure that this last American airplane with generals and the flying out into the sunset isn't going to get shot down right over Kabul? So, you know, the only entity that can guarantee our safety, guess who that was?
Taliban.
The Taliban. So there we are on that night before leaving in this shura, or this negotiation, because ISIS-K, or ISIS Khorasan, had come into Afghanistan to fill the void, to fill the vacuum, an ISIS arm. And they were attacking, and the Taliban were fighting them. But the Taliban wanted us to leave. The Taliban would rather fight them and have us leave. The Taliban wanted us to leave. So there we are, and everyone thinks that we just left stuff behind and the big bad Taliban took it. No, that is not historically accurate. We gave it to them in the negotiation because they said, all right, America, you want us to protect your butt for you to get out of here? Well, we want you out of here, but it ain't going to come for free. All this stuff, these helicopters, these armored vehicles, this ammunition, these rockets, these bombs, these radios, leave it. Stop destroying it, because we had a plan to destroy it all in place.
Yep. And then
we were told,
we get to watch the footage of like the Black Hawk just flying over in the parade of all of our stuff in the
that was a and you know that was a U.S. Black Hawk.
Yep. I used to work on those babies. It was just a very sad sight to see.
Yeah.
You know, so, I have a question for you based off of all of this. You have been in the military for a while. I'm sure you've also been in coordination with different people in politics. What it looks like to me is America's having a series of wrong decisions, and we're trying to make new decisions to catch up for the wrong decisions and make even worse decisions. From my standpoint, it just looks like sheer incompetence or people overestimating their abilities. What is like the number one or two things that you see is the problem with all of these people who are in charge of making these decisions?
The three things that I see that are most preventing the United States from crossing the bridge from bad to good decisions is ignorance, hubris, and ego. And I'll give you an example. Last week, when I was on the Hill speaking to members of the Congress, both the Senate and the House, about the NDAA, specifically about the provision of the NDAA for the U.S.-Israel Defense Technology Cooperative, known as Section 224 of the House version.
Did a breakdown.
It's a verbatim provision in the Senate version. Talking to them about that, and from some sides, you know, because I went in with the top, like, hey, what are your thoughts on this, senator or representative or their staff? If we talk to their staff, typically their national security advisor on their staff. What's the senator's thought on that? Well, he loves it. It's great. No better way to secure our future than to come closer to our greatest ally. I'm like, you really believe that they're our greatest? I was like, so what about the Defense Intelligence Assessment, that the DIA's assessment that Israel poses a direct and imminent threat to our security because of sabotage, subversion, and espionage? That's what greatest allies do? Well, that's a one-off. Like, that's a one-off. I mean, that's a pretty big one-off. That's a pretty big, like, that's a red flag in this relationship. That's a big no. That's like you're dating someone for 6 months and you find out they're an axe murderer and you're on their list to kill. Oh, it was a one-off. Oh, it was a one-off. They'll come around, be like, no, you're stupid. You're stupid. So when you look at that and you're asking yourself, and you ask them that, it's like, no, you're just ignorant, or you believe that for some other reason than national interest. You don't believe what you believe because of U.S. interests. You believe what you believe because there's something else you believe in, whether that's Christian Zionism, whether that's that the Israeli state should exist over all else. You don't believe what you believe because of U.S. interest. And then you talk to some, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're against it. It's horrible. Oh, really? Well, then, when this was brought to the floor yesterday, this is last week before when I was there on that Thursday. When this was brought to the floor on Wednesday by Ro Khanna as an amendment to take Section 224 out, your representative, the one you just said is against it, voted no to the amendment to take that out. So that you had an opportunity to remove that from the House resolution and you chose not to. So what are you telling me then you're against it? And they're like, well, hear us out. Hear us out. We think that if we allow it to pass and we bring Israel in with merger to this, that, and that then we can control them more. We'll have the ability to greater control them.
Right where we want them.
Right where we want them. And I'm like that is stupid. That is absolutely ignorant and ego. I was like, you really think it's like, you know what? I made my house out of wood. Okay, great. A lot of people do. And then I brought in termites around the whole base of the house. That's kind of stupid. Why would you do that? Because if I know where the termites are, I know where I can keep adding new wood to keep the foundation up. You didn't think of that. And it's like, that's stupid.
So they're just not even thinking through their decisions. They're not like thinking like second, third, fourth order cause and effect.
Quote my dad.
They're just kind of like, oh, you know what? I'm just thinking my next decision, and this is for the team. And so then when you talk about ego, or you talk about like hubris, like I'm guessing every single person there thinks they're like the most important God's gift to earth. Yeah, it's in terms of what they're voting.
Yeah. Well, so I'm now convinced that every senator and every representative, the only reason they're in election or the only reason they're in politics is just to run for their next election. They don't actually care about legislation or passing bills that impact the American people. They care about doing things that are popular at the time, or that at least if they're not popular, they can hide from the forced decision based on a party alliance and then later claim that, oh, that wasn't me. So when you look at that and you ask them that to that point, like why, like, okay, well then why? Well, it's like, well, if I vote against it, then my other Democratic colleagues will be against me, and then this, and then, but what about but to that point, every time I do this, every time I talk to any representative or any congressman, because it's so easy now. And before I go in and I see their name, I have the AIPAC track app on my phone. I just go back and I look and I just type in their name. And sure enough, 9 times out of 10 pops up with the red banner, AIPAC. They took this much. So I have it ready on my phone already up. So we go in there and we talk to them and they give me all these excuses of like, well, you see it this way. And I was like, okay, check it out. I'm not a dumb man. Okay. Like I may not have the congressional parking spot. I may not get to walk around with your little badge, but I'm not a stupid person. What you just told me is complete and utter bullshit.
Right.
Could it be that the reason the senator is backing this is because he's paid to do it? And I show him a little AIPAC thing and it says 2.8 million from AIPAC 1 year. I was like, seems like they're doing it because they're paid to think that way.
Right.
Well, what's wrong with taking money from AIPAC? Blah, blah. I was like, well, see that there's the problem. You don't think that this is a problem. That's the problem.
Yes, and the special interests have infested our government, and that's where we are.
From multiple countries,
from multiple countries. That's where we are.
Yes.
And it's to where like the whole thing is a business model, right? And Tim,
yes.
you're making the point or asking the question, like, why are they doing this? Like, why are they perpetuating the wars? They're making money off it. Right. And like that's the whole scam, right? When they can bet on Polymarket and Kalshi now, prediction markets, when they can play the stock market and invest with defense companies and do all these things, like it makes perfect sense for them to be like, hey, I'm an empty suit. I go to get this job because it isn't a job, right? Because I'm actually working for the power interests. And we have a wide variety of guests on. We had Simon Dixon on, and I love what he said about the transnational capital interests. And that's how this really all works and plays and breaks down. The reality is, if Americans are aware of that, if Americans knew about the foreign influence in our government and the money, like the massive amount of it, they would all demand it be stopped.
Well, look at the new Air Force One, dude. Where does that come from?
Well, this is why. Yeah, go ahead, get into that.
I mean, we've got
it's a great point.
Boeing from Qatar, latest state of the art. It's painted beautiful red, white, and blue. And remind me how much that cost. It was like
we have to have the biggest, beautiful plane.
Yeah, it was over $400 million base price. Price. That doesn't include the monogram seats and the talking toilet.
100%. So you're talking 400 million.
The thing I'm getting to here is just kind of legacy of failure, and I think the belief that we can succeed comes from the fact that we're a very young country, right? And all these other nations, like you look at China, look at Iran, talk about like 4,000-year-old civilizations, right? Versus us just celebrating our 250th year. The post-World War II glory that these older politicians, this is my belief, okay, and to all the older viewers and listeners out there, I love and support you. I'm not dissing you or anything, but boomers have been the dominant voting bloc for the past 30 years in the U.S., and you look at the past 30 years that all these wars have been involved in the Middle East, it's based off this delusional idea of like we can just go in there and crush whoever. And I think that's why it's been like aimless and goalless is because we don't need a goal. We're the U.S. Like we're just going to go park our military in your country and we're going to do to it what we want to do to it. And whoever we put in power is going to be good, not off basis of who they are, but based off that we can back them and we can keep them in power.
And it's a problem when the decision makers who make the shot have never either visited the country, have never been on the ground, don't know what the people actually want. And so then that actually causes the dilemma in itself, right?
We like deranged psychopaths because they're easier to control. I forget what general said it, but like it's our mission to make sure there aren't secular democracies in the Middle East. Look at Gaddafi and look at Assad, and then look at who replaced them and what's happening now. You can say, oh, I don't like Gaddafi. Oh, I don't like Assad. Well, guess what? Guess what? They had the highest standard of living in Africa, in Libya, and now they have open air slave market. So like, what's better? Like,
when you try to impose a culture or a governance, not government, but governance upon a population that they don't want, you're going to get something worse than what we think may be the current state of affairs. In that, oh, we want to change that because it doesn't align to our values. So we're going to change it with this. And then very often, I think, show me one place where the United States has intervened since Vietnam, where what then came in from what we wanted is not worse than what there was before.
Right.
I can't name one.
And that's why the objectively good policy of being anti-war and anti-interventionalist is rejected, because it doesn't make anyone money, because if you're not going to war, you're not making the money.
Sure.
Do you think, Anthony, do you think it's because we're afraid of like Russia and China becoming the kind of like next world power and stepping into that power vacuum if we don't have control over these regions? I still feel like we're in a silent Cold War still, but now it's
I entirely agree. We were in the Cold War never really ended. It just went into the deep freezer. It became like a really cold War. Like it's in the, we put it in the storage that we don't look at until Christmas when we got to clean the fridge out. So the Cold War went into like deep cold storage, but all the elements of it are still there in terms of where we're fighting, why we're fighting, how we're fighting, what we're fighting, the ideals that we say that we're against. We just replaced different things with new terms and still really fighting the same constructs. And when you look at that in terms of what I think when you look at a Russia or a China or an Iran, again, the point you made up, I think, or the point that you brought up is very important in terms of we celebrate 250 years, right? Most of the other countries in the world look at that and they say, that's nice. I remember the mistakes we made in our first 1,000 years, right? Like and then they're like, you shouldn't do that. And we're like, well, you're only telling us that because you don't want us to succeed. And they're like, not necessarily. I mean, you're a superpower. You have nuclear weapons. We don't want you to fall apart because we don't want the entire world to be threatened. So it's in our interest that you succeed also. So we're telling you that that's probably not a good road to go down.
China figured it out.
Wait. You literally just described like a parent would tell something to a child and the child would be like, shut up. And the child goes and does the thing, gets hurt or whatever. Me. Exactly. You don't control me. It really is a lack of wisdom that we face. And then the people that we elect for that lack of wisdom are the dumbest among us.
I mean, China figured it out. They didn't have to drop a single bomb to have all these countries come over, and now you've got like most of our allies are now thinking about.
Well, because China learned thousands of years ago, before Columbus ever sailed the seas, that constant war, feudal China, constant war is not in a nation's interests.
Yep.
It's very expensive.
Yep.
It never leads to lasting settlements.
Right.
All wars have to end eventually with some kind of a treaty going back to where you would have been in the first place. Can you imagine? If what we're dealing with Iran right now, if we just had done that on the 27th of February, we would be $8 billion less in debt from this war. We'd have, how many ever hundreds of soldiers not wounded. We wouldn't be considered the laughing stock of the diplomatic world with how we've approached this.
Yes.
Like, just imagine if we would have done that then instead of now, because everybody's like, oh, well, war's the answer. War, no time in the entire history of the world has actual war ended war. It always ends with some kind of treaty, surrender, armistice, something. And very often, those things take you right back to where you were before you started the war. And in the U.S. case, it's like chutes and ladders. Iran took a ladder and we took a chute, and we fucked ourselves in doing it.
Yeah, we gave them a way out. We gave them the best deal possible that in every aspect. Like, I would say $500 billion worth of concessions that they didn't have to get if we didn't
blew up all our bases in the region. And it's so insane to think about. You just mentioned words like surrender, armistice, and stuff like that. I'm going to play a clip of some guy that does not like those terms at all. His name is Lindsey Graham. You go ahead and throw up his reaction to the MOU. I wanted to get your take on this. Go ahead and roll it, Wes.
Here's what I think will happen next. If this deal fails, President Trump is going to take the Strait of Hormuz over by force. The United States will control the Strait of Hormuz. We'll charge a fee for all those who go through to pay for the operation. And we're going to expand the Abraham Accords in calendar year 2026. We're going to get Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so that's not like representing South Carolina, talking about we're going to go back to war, we're going to close the strait and charge a toll, we're going to take it over because y'all did it, but we can do it better. He shouldn't be doing foreign policy as somebody that works in the legislature, right?
As a U.S. state senator, absolutely not.
Right.
No.
I think it's the same thing Ukraine as well.
But that's always been his focus, especially, I should say, actually exclusively when it comes to Israel. And anything that involves Israel's whatever Israel wants to do, that's where he's always in putting himself into foreign policy. He doesn't give a shit about really anything else. But when you consider statements from someone like that, and you look at I would ask any American that right now you could look back and say, oh, there was this war in Iraq. Let me go back to the annals of history. Why did that start? For some of us, we were alive. Some of us weren't. But you go back and look at that. How did that start? How is it now? Well, that doesn't seem like winning. How about Afghanistan? How did that start? Okay, that was all right. How did that? Oh, that's how it ended. Oh, that doesn't look like winning. Vietnam. Let me get that one out. Go back in history. Oh, that wasn't good either. Syria. Let me go. That's more modern. Oh, that one's not good. Okay, how about one I've been alive for? Iran. Pretend I didn't know anything about it. I go back, 28 February. Oh, okay. We did what? Oh, damn. Surely we won. And then you get to the 14-point MOU. Ooh, that doesn't look like winning at all.
I only saw one win, and it was the enrichment. That was it.
But even then, though, that it's not a win when you fought a war to go back to something that was already agreed upon.
Right. And
that already stood. But in fact, the JCPOA was more restrictive because now that all of the things that we talked about, we know that they've enriched more after the JCPOA was shredded up. Well, they were like, well, if you're just going to threaten us with constant war. So in their enrichment, they never enriched anything to the 90%, but they had multiple amounts that they enriched to 60. But now the JCPOA would have restricted that. But now the answer to that is, well, there's going to be the restrictions on it. Okay, who's going to dilute everything they've already created? And Donald Trump was like, we're just going to take it all. Well, now Iran gets to dilute it they get to do it themselves. So and as a sovereign nation, they should, but when you look at that in terms of what this gained us, any concessions that we think are beneficial to the United States, well, those conditions already existed before we went to war.
And they count on people's ignorance of that fact. And I always call back to it. I know I watched the video. I know I can find it. Like, I verifiable, like hand on Bible, I know it's true. I saw Steve Witkoff in the original negotiations that I believe precipitated the 12-day war, maybe they're around the end of it. I'm blanking, but I did see him say, we're close to getting a deal. They're close to agreeing to like 3.5% enrichment or whatever he said. And the next day he comes out white as a sheet and says they won't negotiate, they won't get rid of the enrichment. And it's like, well, you just said yesterday that like we're that close, we're there. And I think what all this is just like returning to the beginning. We killed the guy that banned the nuclear weapon. We killed their pope. And then we're like, oh, well, they won't shake hands with us. Like, that was a big deal today in the Western media. Oh, the Iranians aren't shaking hands. Like, well, you killed the leadership. Like, these are the people that are in power because you killed some of their leadership. Like, what are you talking about? What's your perspective on that? Like just on the negotiation front, what do you think?
So the negotiations are going to have to be met on both sides, but more so, really right now, the onus is on the United States to come forward with trust but verify. But really, we're going into this negotiation with, I don't trust you at all from both sides. Iran doesn't trust the United States. The United States obviously doesn't trust Iran. So there's no trust but verify. So now it's all verification. It's all, like, show it to me. I want to touch it, feel it, and see it. Then we can move on to the next. We're not going to take this blanket agreement. We're not going to take, let's talk about point 2 through 14 and forget about point 1 with Lebanon. We'll get to that later. We'll circle back on that. There's no circling back. It's show me evidence and proof of this before we move on. And if we can't, we're not moving on. And guess what? From Iran's position, they see it as, guess what? You can't give us assurance from point number 1? Well, then fine. Guess what? Hey, Strait of Hormuz, turn it off. How's that feel?
Yeah, and then
we're like, oh, shit. So what this war has achieved, anything that we say that we've won has just taken us back to what we already had, taped together, right? Like, we had this beautiful vase. This war dropped it, and now we just have the same vase, but there's duct tape on it. Didn't get anything new. And what we've also done is we've shown Iran not through theory, not through theoretical economic assumption, but in reality, we have now shown Iran and the world that the Strait of Hormuz is so, so critical, and that all they have to do is, and they don't even have a navy.
Yeah. They could just do it from land. They can threaten the same way. No, you're 100% right about that.
I have a quick anecdote.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so like for me, we're talking about just like U.S. military mistakes, incompetence over the years, whatever you want to call it. Just talking about the supreme leader again, killing that guy is literally the dumbest thing that you can do. And I know the initial goal was, of course, the regime change, and that's what Israel always wanted, to get the IRGC out of power and to bring the moderates in or whatever. But by killing the Pope for like 200 million Shia Muslims or however many there are, for killing their like supreme leader, literally, you think that's going to flip the people over to your side? And this is just an example of like our arrogance of like, we believe, and I love America, but I love my country. I don't like my government. We're like, we're going to bring the American government to your country, and the American government is going to fix it. And they look around and we're like, what? And like some of them are like, maybe we'll still do it. Boom, we're going to kill your Pope. How do you like that? Do you enjoy that? I think like we don't really think about it because we're all the way over here, but we really mistreat people around the world.
Well, we can't even fathom here as Americans some other country coming over here and telling us what to do. Like, it's just not
that's
on the table.
That's such a great point. And that's what I think is important for Americans to understand when we call certain groups theists or terrorists. It's like, okay, well, how would you approach that problem? How would you address that situation? If your family was killed and your land was taken over, what would you do? You just sit there? You just sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm Canadian now. No, you wouldn't. So, and to that same point in terms of the resistance and how we label it. If you live in this country, well, you're the resistance, and we're going to support you. But if you're this type of person, it could be the same context. Well, then you're a terrorist. And to the point, there's a saying in the Army: we're going to fix it till it breaks. Right? Like we're gonna keep fixing it until it's broken, and then we're gonna say like, oh, now it has to be fixed. It's like no, it wasn't broken until you fixed it to be broke. So we've done that like in Afghanistan every year. We didn't fight a 21-year war in Afghanistan. We fought 21 one-year wars, to where we had something in place to where, okay, this is manageable. Oh, but what if we did this? And then we break it again. Then we come back and we try to fix it, and we break it, and we fix it, and we break it until we really broke it, and we got handed our butts. Same thing with this war with Iran. And the only thing that I can be thankful for in this is that hopefully we figured this out in 107 days instead of 107 months.
So another question for you, and it's kind of related but unrelated. There are a lot of people in here who probably do know your story, but there's a lot of other people who do not know your story, and you have some experience over in that region.
A lot.
And I really selfishly want to understand the context surrounding the whistleblowing incident, what you saw. And I know you probably told this story, but I think it's very important for people to contextualize like what it's really like over there and what you saw and how vastly different it is from what's being reported or covered and things like that. Because you started on it earlier, but like I really want to highlight what that whole experience was like.
So I think it's important to first understand that when I went into Gaza, the lens from what I saw things were from someone that has experienced war for the last 25 years. From my commissioning until I retired, from multiple deployments to Iraq, Fallujah, Baghdad, Mosul, to Afghanistan, all over, to Syria, in Raqqa when we were fighting and pushing ISIS out of Raqqa. And through all that, war in Tajikistan, fighting a war in Tajikistan, war in the southern Philippines. And when you take all that together in what I've experienced, when I went into Gaza, I had a very clear understanding of Geneva Convention, laws of armed conflict, laws of land warfare, what is right and what is wrong, what brutality and the departure of those conventions, laws, and values looks like. I've seen it on all ends. I've seen Americans do atrocious things. I've seen the enemy do atrocious things. I've seen governments do atrocious things. When we went into Raqqa, and ISIS had withdrawn from the south along the Euphrates River, in order to make a statement, I guess, make it clear to the Syrian Democratic Forces and the Syrian Arab Coalition, they took every woman and hung them in the streets. And if they were pregnant, they cut their child out of their stomach and hung them by their umbilical cord to make a point in a statement: don't follow us. And we saw it, and I thought nothing could ever be more destructive and brutal and just evil than this. And when I went into Gaza on the 24th of May, when we went in on our first day going into Gaza to do an assessment of the distribution sites, and I have this on video when we drove in, me and another Green Beret, another retired 05 Green Beret. We're driving, we're in an armored vehicle. We went through gate 96. They opened the gate as we drive through, and we're going south along the Burma Road into the remains of Rafah. And both of us, war-hardened, multiple deployment combat veterans, are in the vehicle there, and we're just jaw-dropped, speechless, and just like, what is this? Like, this is nothing of what we're being told. This is nothing like what is being conveyed. Just the every apartment building, every mosque, every church, every school, every hospital destroyed and leveled into rubble. And I know this because as we're driving through Rafah and I have a map of Gaza, and you're looking at, okay, well, that's supposed to be a hospital, gone. Well, that was an elementary school, gone. That was a community center, gone. And as you're driving through this, the night before we went in, they had just done a series of bombing in Tal al Sultan, which is in the south. And as we're driving through, the IDF had to lead us with one of those giant D9 bulldozers to clear a path because everything had been freshly destroyed from the night before. So a D9 bulldozer is leading the way to create this path so our vehicles could get through. And we're going and stopping and going and stopping. And as you stop and, it's really hot, so you kind of open the door to get some air and you're listening, you can hear the cries of human beings buried in this rubble who will never be rescued. And we were at this one intersection. We were there. We stopped. I opened the door to stand out and kind of look, drinking some water. And this rabid dog is kind of chewing at this rubble and rips a piece out, and it's a child's arm that he runs away with. And you look at that and you're like, this is beyond proportionality. This is beyond war. This is not war. And seeing it over and over and over again, but then in looking at that and saying that, okay, this is what the IDF is doing. We're not the IDF. We're America. We don't do this. But then it became very clear to me from seeing the contract that the GHF had with the Israeli government that what the contract specifically stipulated and the actions of the IDF underwritten by the United States government, things that the IDF were doing that were fully aware to Mike Huckabee and the ambassador and to others, that they knew about this stuff. And you're looking at it and you're like, no. We are part of the problem. The United States, through private industry. Remember, I was not there as a soldier. I was not there as part of the army. I was there under a privatized contract. Basically, call it the modern day of the East India Company.
What were you doing there? Like, what was your job?
Really quick, talking about that, you were told that your client was the IDF at one point, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
So
what is the?
So I think So the question you asked is a good question. So I'll rewind it back a little bit. I retired. I'm retired. I'm not looking for contract work. I'm not looking for mercenary work. I wanted to go to. I had everything set to go to law school in the fall. I was going to use my GI Bill. I wanted to be a public defender. I wanted to, focus on family in the home. I did not want to do these government contract mercenary jobs. It was nowhere in my bingo card. And then in May of 2025, a company called UG Solutions, which is a local-based North Carolina startup company, called me and they said, "Hey, we won this big contract. We need to provide security contractors. We've already hired the majority of the gunslingers, the shooters. We need people that have planning experience. And your name was recommended. We'd like to hire you. Do you want to do this work?" I said, "All right. What are we doing?" "Well, aid delivery is going to be allowed into Gaza, and we're going to secure it." And I was like American aid, UN aid, like what? And they were like, "So the United States has worked out with Israel that the United Nations will be allowed back in as long as there's U.S. security. We're that contract and we're going to provide that." And I was like, okay. So at the time, I knew in my head, all right, human beings are starving. Human beings, women and children and families and people, human beings are dying of starvation and hunger. No food is going in right now. We are going to be part of the solution to bring food to starving people. And that's what I believed. And that's what I knew to be true. Mm-hmm. So I said yes. And literally 2 days later, I'm on a plane to Israel. And we get there. And when I first go into Gaza on the first day, on the 24th of May, as a reconnaissance with the IDF to see these actual distribution sites, I look at that and I'm like, this is not what the UN was doing. I was like, I have the UN map. The UN map had 400 distribution sites. This is only 3 sites. This is not what the UN was doing. Oh, well, it's not exactly what the UN is doing. We're going to be here operating under this thing called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. I had never heard of that. I'd never heard of them. I'm like, what's that? Who's that? And then we start conducting operations on the 26th of May. was our first day of distribution. And we were going to use site number 1, and we were only bringing in 9 trucks. Remember, the daily requirement to sustain life is 600 trucks per day. And from mid-March until that point in May, none had gone in, 0. And we're going to come in. We're going to break the siege, so to speak, with 9 trucks. So we take these 9 trucks in to the site. The IDF's responsibility was to hold off the population and only allow a certain amount forward at a certain time. And we show up at the site, and as we're downloading the trucks, the IDF, quote unquote, lose control of the crowd. And 34,000 Palestinians rushing to this site at one time. And the IDF start opening up on them with machine gun fire, artillery fire. And as they're pouring into this site, because it's the only place where there's any refuge from the open field of being shot at, crawling over the berms, crawling through the gate, people rushing in. I thought, in my case, I'm like, I'm dead. I'm done. Because what the IDF told us was that they're all Hamas. They all want to kill you. They hate Americans. They're going to kidnap you and try to use you for ransom. Watch your back. Shoot anything that's a threat. So I'm there at 34,000 people rushing over the site. And as I'm watching this, I kind of had a tactical pause because I'm like, okay, I don't see any threats necessarily, but I thought it was over. So I took out my phone and I'm like, hey, love everybody. Sorry I took this job. Didn't need to do it. Sorry I did it, but I love everybody. Sorry, this is how this has to end. And as all these Palestinians are rushing onto the site and grabbing food and parcels of food, not only did none of them even threaten me or strike me or hit me or push me or punch me or even look at me wrong, they were kissing my hands and hugging us and thanking us. And in fact, at one point, because I was moving backwards and I tripped, a Palestinian man that was there, who instead of just rushing onto food, helped pick me up and hugged me. There was no threat. There was no that they were human beings who were starving. And what we did at this site, by taking 34,000 people trying to get food and only bringing in 9 trucks of food, we created a trap for them, for the IDF to slaughter hundreds of them.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
It's really sad. It's making me tear up, man.
What do you mean? Like, as soon as all of them came there were people, like, what, they were gunning people down as threats?
So as the security line broke, as the IDF said they could no longer hold back the crowd, and the crowd starts rushing through the site. In this portion of Gaza, there's only certain places where the Palestinians are allowed to move, where they're physically allowed to walk in these military corridors. And anything outside of that is open season. The IDF can openly fire on them. So you have 34,000 people that are promised food, and they haven't eaten. And this will never leave me, to where one of the women that was there in the crowd, she's got this rope over her shoulder and she's pulling this wooden pallet. Imagine just a wooden pallet. And on it, wrapped in blankets, are her dead children. Because she can't bury them because her husband's been killed. And in Gaza, if you're a Palestinian and you dig a hole, you will be struck by either a drone or a bomb or something. So this woman pleading like, what do I do? Where do I take my dead children? Or a father carrying his dead child in his arms who obviously died of starvation, begging for food. And we were the only refuge. We were the only relief. And they were expecting enough food for that many people. We only brought 9 trucks, which can maybe feed 5,000. And the IDF knew that. The IDF knew we were only bringing 9 trucks because the IDF told us that we could only bring 9 trucks. And we brought no water, not a single drop of water. That was also dictated by the IDF. Because when this line of people broke,
they didn't want the food to go to the quote unquote Hamas, right? Like, that was one of the strategies. They were afraid that some of that food would go to quote unquote terrorists,
dude,
right?
No one else gets to operate this way. No one else gets to do this shit. They fucking made those people run in like World War Z or 28 Days Later and just machine gun them.
But I was saying that is the justification that they were giving for why there was minimal amount, right?
No. What I later learned to the minimum amount, there was no justification in terms of risk to mission, risk to force, the enemy, Hamas, etc. that restriction was part of the written contract, meaning the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation had a written contract, just like you would write a contract to build a house or a contract to provide a service, a written contract with the Israeli government. On the side of the Israeli government, the contract holder was KOGAT, the Coordinating Office of Governance Activities in the Territories. It's an IDF organization or a Ministry of Defense organization that is responsible for everything in the West Bank and in Gaza. So the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation had a written contract, meaning in that contract, the Israeli government saying, GHF, you will get paid this amount of money to do X, Y, and Z, nothing more, nothing less. And in that, it was the providing of food was restricted and limited to amounts that wouldn't even feed 100 people.
Wow.
And it was restricted to that, and no water. Because I asked the question after the first day, like, we had people coming to this site that were so thirsty, and you can see that they're dehydrated, like critically dehydrated. They need water. Why aren't we bringing any water? And they were like, and I was told this, and I saw it with my own eyes, because the contract restricts it. And in the contract, it specifically says, no water will be brought in.
Who the hell's making that calculation? Like, how do you even calculate
Israel.
9 trucks? Fucking crazy.
Israel.
Well, I heard Ben Shapiro one time proudly brag that they delivered 3 million calories.
No. So here's what they'll tell you. Because when they finally left, they said, GHF did it. We saved the day. We delivered 100 million meals. Yeah. Okay. What's a meal? Well, I'll tell you, because I did the effing math down to the calorie, because I was there loading those boxes, packing those trucks, opening those boxes, watching what was in them, every morsel of it. And when they say meals, one box of food, they told us, because I did the math one day, I'm like, the IDF is announcing to people through messaging for all these people to come to this site this day. And let's say it's 12,000 people. We only have enough food for about 1,000. Like that's intentional. That's by design. Why are we doing it that way? And then I was told, oh, well, because each box is intended to feed a family of 5, 3 meals a day for 3.5 days. I'm like, okay, so a family of 5, 3 meals a day, 3.5 meals a day. You're telling me that in this box, there's the equivalent of 53 meals. Yep, that's the math. Okay, the math. One box, 53 meals. Okay. So I took everything out of one of those boxes. I opened it. I took everything out, took pictures of it all, and I calculated all the calories, the entire amount of calories total in that box. And it breaks down to where if that's 53 meals, that's 200 calories per meal.
Huh.
But then when you take the totality of the amount that we were giving to the amount of people we were giving it to, divide that amount of meals by box, by meal, by people, then we're only providing them enough food for even if it was the entirety of Gaza, we're only providing them enough food to that equivalent number, by the number of people, it's only 1 meal every 3rd day, or 3 meals in 1 day, and then you don't eat for 2 days.
Starvation.
And what's the calorie content on that?
200 calories per meal. So let's say you ate 3 equivalent meals in 1 day. That's 600 calories. In order to get to the site to get the food, you're walking anywhere from 8 to 10 kilometers on foot in the hot sun being shot at. So you're already in a calorie deficit just to get there to get the food.
Right.
And then the other thing they were doing, which we noticed as contractors on the ground, because while we were there, every morning, I'm talking about before the sun rises, 3 a.m, driving the trucks while it was still cool to then bring it in before the sun rose. So we were having less of a signature. As we're at the site, you can hear the mortars, the bombs, the artillery, the drones. You can hear the wails and the screams of people in the distance from being, you can tell there was large crowds of people waiting in the darkness. And as soon as we would get permission to open the site, you would just see the rush of people coming. And even in the distance, you would see it. And I've got tons of video of it as well, where you see the tracer rounds, shoo, 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 flying, or tank rounds, Markava tank rounds, flying into the crowds, being shot at, mortar fire on their way to these sites. And as they'd come to the site and they would have to fight for food, most of the time, people were on the ground having to scrounge for it because these boxes that we had, and here's the other dirty secret of the GHF, the food that we were delivering was the food that the UN couldn't bring in, that had been sitting out at the Karim Shalom container area for weeks on end, rotting. So all of the perishable items, that bread, potatoes, etc., was thrown away, and the only food we could then bring in was the dried food, dried rice, dried lentils. We weren't giving them food that they could eat, and the food that we were giving them requires water to prepare, of which we were giving them no water. And out of those boxes, they had been infested with rats. Some boxes had been eaten through. And so all these boxes, you set the stuff there and it just falls apart. People are crawling around on the ground, scrounging. Like, I saw a man, an adult man, a father, with his shirt, raking dirt and rocks into his shirt and then shaking it out to pick out individual pieces of pasta to have enough to take home. And they got shot on their way out. Thousands died. And then what the IDF were doing, the reason, because I asked at one point, I said, okay, if we're only going to have 3 sites and we're supposed to be providing food for all of Gaza, why don't we have like a southern site, a central site, and a northern site? So at least we're just distributing, right? Like, why are all 3 sites all in the south, all close to each other if we're only doing 3? Like, we should disperse that. And the reason was because we would do a site a day. Never all 3 open. It was a different site a different day, based on where the IDF were conducting military operations in kind of a central Gaza, in Dawazar, in Mawasi, in Rafah North, etc., to where, let's say, 25,000 people were evacuated from their homes under go get food, go get food, go get food. Look, we're helping you. We're helping you. We're doing humanitarian aid. Go get food. Leave your house. Go get food. Go get food. And they leave their house and they come to these sites and there's no food except for very few of them. Well, when the Israelis would evacuate, they were using our presence. They were using the humanitarian aid operation as pretense to evacuate. And then they come in, and as soon as they would leave that, cross the line, so to speak, that entire neighborhood would get destroyed, carpet bombed. So all these people that are at the site fighting for food are looking as their homes are being destroyed. And then when they leave the site and they get shot at, they get funneled down the corridor to one of these encampments, one of the Rafah encampment. So when you see on the news and you see all these large encampments of white tents and tarps, that's those. We forced people into those because their homes were destroyed in an attempt, what they thought they were coming to get food. So you see the reality of this. This is real. And what kind of like ripped the curtain out for me was that at one point I was like, okay, this is BS. Every day we're always switching what we're doing, switching how we're doing it. Like, if I need to understand, as the operations guy that's putting this together, I need to understand, because we're not delivering enough food. We're delivering no water. What's up with that? We need to have a better plan. I still was under the assumption this was just failure by lack of experience. And I said, give me a copy of the contract so I understand in planning what we can and cannot do. What's the left and right limit in the parameters of this contract? I'm reading through the contract, and it, sure enough, water will not be delivered, not in bottled or bulk delivery. I'm like, the fuck? So I talked to the guy in charge, the boss man. I'm like, why aren't we delivering? Have you read this? Why aren't we delivering water? Oh, there's a reason for that. Okay, I'm asking why. Well, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. Because for 1 truckload of water's a lot heavier. You can, because 1 truckload equivalent of water, you would have to divide amongst 3 trucks because of the weight. So you can bring in 3 trucks of food or 1 equivalent truck of water. And that was their justification. I said, okay, but we all know that the food that we're bringing in can't be eaten unless you have water to prepare it. And a lot of the food that we're bringing in is trash and garbage and rotten anyway, and you can survive a whole lot longer without food than water. So we should prioritize at some point, maybe a day, maybe half a day, where we just prioritize and bring in as much water as we can. Nope, not doing it. So as I'm going through the contract and I'm seeing like, okay, the amount of food is restricted. And what the Israelis do is they count the calories. They count the calories per person to be right at that point of it's starvation, but it's like prolonged starvation. It's like someone doesn't eat for 3 days. You give them just a little bit. They eat some. Okay, they're not dead yet. They survive another 3 days. You give them a little bit. All those calories in terms of what Israel will allow in are calculated to the meal. And it was no exception and no coincidence that those amount of meals that we were allowed to bring in each day were restricted. And at one point, I didn't know that it was restricted based on the contract. So we had on one day because we had front-loaded truck loading the night prior because we had more time from one of our deliveries, we were able then to take in, and I decided, okay, we only have 9 trucks. Then instead of doing all 9 at once, let's preload 4 of them early, deliver 4, come back, and when the other 5 are delivering, we load those and we can at least bring 4 or 13 in. So I did that once, and man, you would have thought, another October 7th happened. Oh, we can't do this. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, then tell me, what are my left and right limits? And I was like, let me see the contract. So like I said, I read through the contract. Okay, we're only authorized 9 trucks a day. No water. The food that we take in will be this food from this warehouse, which was a UN warehouse. Okay, all of these restrictions and requirements. And that contract was written by Israel. Israel wrote that contract and then like, okay, any bidders out there who wants to take this contract? And there were other bidders who bid for that contract that didn't get it. And it was a shock to a lot of US contractors who were like, how did UG Solutions get this contract? They've never done anything of this magnitude. What? How did they get it? Well, nearly every contracted hire from the UG Solutions is a active patch-wearing member of the Infidels Motorcycle Club. So UG Solutions got it because they were then able to say, hey, we got just the right group of guys. You want to starve Palestinians and have no one talk about it? How about some hyper-fanatic Christian Zionist evangelicals? How about that, huh? How about these guys?
The
infidels.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
that's how that all came together.
I was going to ask you because I was like, I look at this whole picture. There's no way that the United States did not know this was going on. I mean, you're
no. It was known. It was planned. It was designed. It was all part of a greater plan that had been put together with U.S. direct involvement, with Jared Kushner's involvement, with Steve Witkoff's involvement, with Mike Huckabee's involvement. The guy in charge of operations on the ground was a 30-year veteran, one time the director of the CIA's Special Operations Division, or Ground Branch, the spooks of the spooks. His name's Phil Riley. You can look the guy up. That was the boss on the ground. That's who we were answering to for humanitarian aid. And then on the day we started distribution operations, a bunch of guys coming in, looking like, they just all bought their clothes at Dick's Sporting Goods, basically looking like CIA nerds that were let out of the office with all their communication equipment. We had to take them to the sites. There was no they had their credentials. They were like, I was like, what are y'all here for? Because I build the convoys, so we don't take tourists in. So like, if you need to go to site number 1, you have to have a reason and you have to be on the manifest. I have to let the convoy commander know any additional packs. So who are you? Oh, I'm so-and-so here. And I was like, blue badge carrying CIA.
Right.
So
yeah.
Why?
No, 100%. I want to close with this. That was so powerful, and we're going to clip this up and edit it. So,
crazy,
man, people
crazy.
need to hear that. I know you've covered your experience working at the GHF before, but that was a powerful breakdown and delivery. I think one of the reasons that it's super important for people like you to go out there and do a bunch of media is because you get to, speak truth to power over and over again and really distill it. And you just laid it out all on the line right here. What I would have to say in regards to everything you've broken down, we're talking about, oh, there's a certain amount of calories, no water, a certain amount of trucks. It's in the contract. Why is this about money? Why is this about contracts? Why is this about, the stats say, the numbers say, whatever? I thought it was about giving people food and water, right? And that's what I think we all thought. We're like, oh, they're going to get aid going into Gaza. But then I read the antiwar.com article, and the number I saw was around like 2,500 killed and like 12,000 injured. And you're like, what is this? Like
just at these sites.
Yeah, no, just at those sites. Absolutely. My point being with all of this is I think Americans need to understand this isn't based off of any sort of like gain that we get, or even, it's not positive and neutral. It's negative, right? It's negative, and we're complicit in it, and we do it. And I think it's super important for people to hear your message on that. And really, thank you for coming on the show.
I always appreciate talking to y'all. I have immense respect for you both, and Rex, we've talked a couple times, but I'm always available, and
thank you.
Always plenty to talk about.
We're gonna have you on again.
Yes.
I didn't know that you were on Suleiman Spaces and doing different things with different people. Definitely want to collaborate more, because this information is just not it's not widely reported.
It's time to just tell the truth. It's time to just tell the truth about what's happening. Like, we paid for this. Like, can we not pay for it anymore? And then can we move on from there to become a moral nation again? Like
100%.
Dude, it's just like I wasn't there. I have no idea. But when I saw the videos that some of these people were doing, like Emily Saves America, Xavier DuRousseau, where they would go out, a very clear film set in the desert, and they would have all these pallets wrapped with food that, like you're talking about, destroyed, rotten, torn apart. And like, I've worked in logistics all of my life. So like, I know what fulfillment is. I know what logistics is. And when you have these people doing these paid film spots out in the desert saying, hey, look at all the food. They're saying there's no food for the Palestinians.
Yeah, so the thing is, those influencers, those paid film spots that went over there, what people don't understand, because they don't understand the ground where they were, was on the Egyptian side of the border. They weren't in Gaza. They're not allowed into Gaza. No, the IDF would not allow them into Gaza. They were, but I know that they were on the Egyptian side, because the wall that's behind them, when they're like, oh, look at all this, look at all that, that is Egypt. There is that. They were in Egypt, not in Gaza. And what they're showing you, which is even more of a admittance of crime, is that all that food sitting on the Egyptian side, on the Rafah side of the Egyptian border, not going in.
Right.
None of that food went in. The food that was allowed was pre-staged food on the Israeli side in Karim Shalom. You could throw a rock over the border, quite literally. But when they had all these influencers go over there and be like, look, here I am, wearing ill-fitting helmets and body armor, looking like a bunch of
body armor with no plate carrier,
no plates in it, just looking like a bunch of dorks, right? Just like, oh, here I am, and here's all this food, and it's like, you're in Egypt, boner. Like, that's not even Gaza. Like, who would believe that? But people believe it, and people are like, oh yeah, see, they sent them and they saw it, and I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I was there. I'm a Green Beret. I served this country for 25 years. I was there. And you believe some 19-year-old influencer with manicured fingernails and who obviously doesn't know what they're talking about? Right. They don't even know where they are. I assume that they probably told them, hey, we're taking you to Gaza. And they took them through the Egypt crossing.
You're literally like a Spartan from Halo, and they're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, that's really what we're dealing with here, and like that's why I think people like you and Joe Can, it's so important you do media, is because there's a lot of people out there.
You're very good narration. Like you're also made for media too, man. I gotta say, like you have a unique way of being able to storytell.
Good communicator
that allows people to really grasp the reality of the situation, and I think people need to continue speaking about these things.
Yes, thank you so much.
This is not a joke anymore. Where can people find you? Because I couldn't find your X.
I'm not back up on X yet, but I will rectify that. I'm working on it. I am on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. X will be back up soon. And then I'm also, where I'm, for my independent campaign, but that's my campaign webpage. But I'm on social media. I'm gonna have X back up soon, and when I get it, I'll text Rex to let him know. It'll probably be the same as my others, just Anthony.Aguilar1.
Okay, so on YouTube, people can find you at Anthony Aguilar1. Is that
Anthony.Aguilar1?
Okay.
Same on TikTok and same on Instagram. And then from those, once I get my X back up, I'm going to do a linked tree. So at each of those, it'll be able to take you to all of them.
100%. Yeah, no, 100. We're gonna have you back on again. We definitely need to collaborate more with you. I think you're a phenomenal guest. Definitely one of the best that we've had up till now, for sure.
And I was gonna go down like a current events lens, and we covered some of those clips that I was talking about. But for people to hear the powerful delivery on that and the reality of the situation, I mean, like we don't have this over here, folks. We don't have war like this over here. So like we get all soft and cushy about it and have kind of like a chuckle buddy moment where it's like, oh, it's all good, man. No, it's not. So thank you for speaking that truth to power. Really appreciate having you on.
Yeah, I don't want the things that I've seen throughout the world to come to our shores, to our neighborhoods. But if we continue to just not face the truth and believe the lies that are being lied to directly in front of our face against what we see with our own eyes, we're doomed to that conclusion. I don't want to see American children starving. I don't want to see my neighbors and the people that I love and care about living in bomb shelters or having everything that we hold dear in this country sold off to another nation that only cares about war. Like, we're better than that.
Mm-hmm.
As a nation, we are better than that.
As people, yes, we're better than that. Thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on.
Thank you. Nice. I'll talk to y'all soon. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Easy.
Thank you.
Dude,
powerful guest, man.
Dude, we've been on fuego.
Yeah, we did a double feature last week.
The people that have been coming on, the conversations we've been having. How are you guys feeling about that? I saw a few comments out there,
and go ahead.
Emotional. I got emotional there for a little bit too when he was talking about the reality of the situation there.
No, 100%, man. And that's the thing is like that guy has so much life experience. Like
I can tell.
Like we have our life experience. That's like a drop in the bucket. Like the things that guy has seen, and he's telling you it needs to stop before it happens over here.
It's
that's the reality.
Also, think about it. I mean, he said 25 years. He's been to all of these different regions around the world, and he can visually see with his own eyes. That's something that none of us get to do. So that you don't really feel that same level of like connection to these situations. And here's the thing, dude, it's just like, it's like common sense has left the building. The things that he's saying is not like out of the ordinary. It's like, let's get people enough food. Let's do these things the right way. Because think about if these situations were inversed, right? Imagine if another country came over here in America and just said, hey, we're here. We don't really like the fact that Trump is not doing exactly what we feel like, and we're going to replace your president, and then we're also going to take over your systems and kind of establish something that's more aligned to our country.
Right.
And then you have like your brother or your sister die, or your mom or your dad, and then it just becomes a humanitarian crisis. And like, I couldn't even fathom that.
Man, it's like, I don't know. You ever put ants in a box and shake it and watch them fight each other? Like, that's literally what this is. Oh, we got super chats.
Oh, there's one.
Sorry, the ones that we missed.
I'll read the other one. I'll scroll back up. I'll read this one first.
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Okay, so we got a super chat. Thank you, Moshmare. We appreciate you.
That pays for StreamYard. Thank you. One of the better shows so far. Thank you.
Dude, you are literally A tier.
Man,
S-tier,
I appreciate it.
S tier. Let me scroll up real quick because I know I missed a
you're
super
good.
chat earlier.
We got your deep dive coming up on Dr. Fauci and the news that was just exposed via Tulsi Gabbard. We also got kind of a deeper cut on that. With your take
we
on
do.
That.
I want to cover this super chat that was up.
Is there a way? Can you favorite a super chat? Like you can star the chat. You can star chats on the StreamYard, and it's all collected.
Oh, I could probably do a filter.
Oh,
there we go.
All right, well that's cool.
That's even better.
All right,
cool. This is beautiful.
You want to read it?
All right, yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. 1776 worldwide. Folk are worried about nuclear weapons. What about the EMP? I work for a major power company, and our defense and infrastructure is crap. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is like everything's so fragile, right? And instead of spending, the $100 billion on like, Tim, you're an engineer. I don't know how to take things apart and put them back together too good, but like as far as I understand, $100 billion would probably do a hell of a lot for the national electric grid. And
100%.
Don't we have problems on
100%.
that?
100%. I mean, like when I came here, even to Austin, I had never really experienced like rolling blackouts.
Oh, it's bad here.
And I'm like, wait, what is this? My apartment complex is literally shutting down.
Right.
I'm like dealing with the I'm dealing with the fact that like I'm sitting there watching TV or something, or I'm relaxing. Everything cuts out. Like we're in America. We're not in Somalia.
You're
right?
gonna have to fight a crackhead for a block of dry ice. That's the only way you're gonna be able to stay cool.
Crazy. Yeah, people are asking about when we start. Guys, this is a later show today just because we had Anthony on a little bit later. Normally our show starts, as you can see, at 7:30.
You had a little
Central Standard Time. Yeah, I was getting back from an event. So we had to start later tonight. But you guys are still with us. We still got a little bit more.
We got a lot more.
We got a lot more. You're right.
Dr. Anthony Fauci. It's been a while since I got to do the impression, but I still remember how to do it.
So yeah, we're gonna get into like a little bit like lighter stuff because that was pretty heavy. Dude. But it's still pretty dark, the stuff that I got to cover here too.
We got to clip that first.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
there are so
Mario
many
clip
moments where
stuff.
I was like,
I was thinking too.
Yeah,
I was like, this is perfect. And more people need to listen to this. So give me a second, guys. I gotta go change.
No, you're good.
I gotta go get my costume on. We gotta get ready.
Leave it up for a second. This is why it's so important. Like, did you guys just watch that interview we did? That was an incredible interview. And Tim, you asked some really good questions there. I'm really glad you did, so that we were able to get into like the real meat of like in reference to his past experience with GHF in Gaza. People, if you're not sharing Gray Area Talks, if you're not following, subscribing on all the platforms, you're not sharing the links, just please consider doing it. Other people need to know the information that you know. Okay.
Yeah.
It's about not being selfish, right? And that's why I do the show. Is I don't want to just hoard information. I want to come out and present the information as well. So
100%.
please, it's important. People need to know about what's going on. We got to clip like some longer sections of that too.
No, 100%. We're gonna get like a 10-minute video.
Yeah.
He hit a flow state where he was able to explain everything in perfect synchronization.
Sure.
And it's just we're gonna keep trying to bring guests like that on. And honestly, we've been pretty spot on with the last guest with bringing on experts, people who actually know, and that's like the real secret sauce here is like.
And it's the experience too, because he's like, I don't agree with the Ukrainian journalist Dylan on everything, but you cannot deny he's literally there watching it happen.
They're watching it happen.
So like you talk to those people, and then you really get the what my dad calls it like a wide spectrum analysis, right? Like that's what we're trying to do here. But let's do the thingy.
Yeah, give me a second,
Fauci.
guys. We'll go waiting room for a little bit, Wes. And then we'll cut. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll literally be back in like 1 minute, 2 minutes tops. All right.
Uno momento.
right.
I'll be the judge.
Go ahead.
Oh, shit. I have. Guilty. By order of the court, you're found guilty, but I didn't do anything, I swear. You gave the gay people
Well, you see, I've got
HIV that killed them.
I've got a pardon from a little man called Biden. He gave me a pardon, so you can't do anything to me. You know?
I am the judge I am the judge in the court of public opinion.
So, give me a second here, guys. I'm just
good.
plugging up. I should have plugged in before.
It's always a trip to put like some like wig on because it's like something on top of your head. You realize like hair is like an organism. It's like on top of your head, and then when you're bald, you don't have it. It's like you mind meld with it in a way.
Yeah. So I'm Anthony Fauci. You know, little smudge on your face. Hey, look, I tanned just a little bit, but you know.
So
Side effect of
It's a side effect of the booster, you know.
Damn.
All right. So, look. All right, Wes, let's start. Yeah, we're going to start here with the Tulsi Gabbard because this is what caused me and prompted me to look into it because we really haven't heard about Fauci in a minute, guys.
Right.
It's one of those stories that kind of gets underreported. Here's the thing about this. The files are pretty condemning. It's pretty clear that this guy is not a good guy.
Right.
He lied about a lot of things, and there's a reason why he got a pardon because he's a liar and he should be in prison probably for a lot of different things. But Tulsi Gabbard and the Trump administration, they're trying to get some wins here from what I can see. They are now suddenly coming out with files all of a sudden against Fauci when they could have done this a whole year ago. There's no reasons these files shouldn't have come out.
It's the low-hanging fruit. And that's the thing is like, this is the stuff that we expected on day one.
Yeah, it's all to distract. UFO files. We got now these files. It's just all the distraction from these real situations. Is anyone going to
go to jail? It was like, well, I got pardoned. You're like, okay. All right.
Go ahead and roll like the first couple of minutes of this clip. This is what prompted me to look into do this deep dive.
I think she's hot.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives. Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when under oath he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins, once again revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to Big Pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines worth trillions of dollars.
Really quick, okay, because like I've been involved in media all my life, and I remember the COVID era like very distinctly. You talked about any of this stuff, you're off social media.
Oh, 100%.
They're getting rid of, you know this.
100%. Yeah.
Talk about it.
No, guys, when I tell you I was deep in the swamp, in the propaganda, it doesn't get as bad as New York. I didn't see anything that your dad had said. Well, I mean, he was off the internet by then.
Anything against
anything against the related story. You know what they were telling us? They were like, don't listen to that. They're Looney Tunes. They're crazy people.
You're all going to die.
Yeah. Like they don't know what they're talking about. And the problem is there were probably a couple of Q people in there that were just like some schizos, but it didn't, it took away from all of the real truth that people were really whistleblowing about.
Right.
So you're 100% right on that. So when I look at this, dude, I'm speechless.
Right.
I'm so speechless. Like I struggle to now trust anything that comes out of my politicians and the presidency and just the government in general.
Are you healthier for it? You know, and that's the
dude.
thing.
But like I don't want to be like a non-believer in schizo and like be like, you know, question everything and don't believe in anything and the moon landing wasn't real. Like I want to believe in concrete things, but like there's enough BS out there that I really do have to have some discernment on whatever information I'm being fed. It's bad.
When everyone's schizophrenic, no one will be, and that's the United States of America right now.
100%.
Literally, everyone. Dude, Tim Dillon is so funny. I saw him go off, and he was like, "Everyone in America is walking around in a severe state of psychosis," and it's like, well, if you look at that and extrapolate it, look at our politicians. Like they're living in like Looney Tune world. Imagine being in DC and being one of these people.
Right. Oh, and it's like you look at what Tulsi Gabbard did. she's fine wine, but I tell you, getting back to
guilty is charged.
Guilty is charged. You know, she's talking about Fauci here, and before we actually get into the documents, because they already released the documents, and that's what we're going to be covering here. I want to watch this video that gives you guys a full breakdown of Fauci's pardon and what Biden did prior to him leaving office is just, and it's also going to cover the heinous things that Fauci has done. I didn't know any of these. Like I knew some of it, but I didn't know it was this bad. And you kept telling me like, hey, you need to check out.
No, he's like the worst dude ever.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and roll this clip real quick.
On Monday, in their final hours in office, former President Biden's team chose to issue a blanket pardon to a number of close political allies and family members. Among that group was former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Anthony Fauci. Fauci was pardoned, quote, for any offense against the United States which he may have committed or taken part in during the period from January.
What the? Yo.
Where's all our pardons at? So we can go.
Hey, I want to go shoot somebody.
Right. Well, approved. Innocent.
Judge, can you help me out here?
Yeah. Well, you know, do you have secrets on the federal government? If you have secrets on the federal government, we'll be able to get away with anything you want.
Bro, this just literally shows you that the rules don't apply to everybody.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Look at the first sentence. They put it in bold. They say for any offense. They're like, you could have killed 1,000 people and you are forgiven.
Based, honestly, it's kind of based to be like, yeah, well, I got to get out of jail. So I don't have to go to jail.
I played Monopoly, you know. I won the game of Monopoly, you know.
Go ahead and play the rest of this out.
January 1st, 2014, through the date of the pardon, relating in any way to his time as NIAID director on the White House Coronavirus Task Force, the White House COVID-19 response team, or as Biden's chief medical advisor. In the letter explaining the pardons, Biden defended the choice, saying, quote, baseless and politically motivated investigations wreak havoc on the lives, safety, and financial security of targeted individuals and their families. Even when those individuals have done nothing wrong, Biden's ghostwriters reason, quote, the mere fact of being investigated or prosecuted can irreparably damage reputations and finances. Setting aside the fact that this was the exact tactic the political establishment used to try and tarnish Trump's reputation, it's revealing that the primary public reason presented for the pardons was to avoid investigations. There are, of course, plenty of unseemly details about Fauci's career that the political establishment would not like to see resurface in either the court of law or the court of public opinion. Many were detailed in RFK Jr.'s book, The Real Anthony Fauci.
Pause it.
Such as
really quick, I know he's about to get into all of it. Get the audiobook. Listen to the audiobook. It's 36 hours audiobook. You will learn so much. And I forgot a lot of it, but like I don't trust medical system at all.
Scary.
So that's all I got to say. Sorry. Go ahead. We can play it.
the secretive and deadly drug experiments on hundreds of HIV-positive foster children at New York City's Incarnation Children's Center between 1988 and 2002, and the experiment that locked the heads of beagle puppies into cages full of flesh-eating insects. If Fauci had come under the federal government's microscope, episodes like those could have done much to stain the name of the man Biden recently dubbed a true hero. The same goes for Fauci's completely inaccurate projection of the danger posed by a strain of swine flu in the 1970s, along with the millions of dollars of damages the government had to pay out due to injuries sustained in the related swine flu vaccine experiments. Fauci also made similar failed projections relating to the 2005 bird flu, the 2009 swine flu, and the 2016 Zika virus. In all these cases, the virus was nowhere near as dangerous as Fauci had claimed it would be. But his warnings did.
So he's
I've been known to over-exaggerate.
I know. Like, bro, no, like, for real, though. I remember when swine flu, you guys remember this, swine flu, like, they made, I was young, though. I was probably in, like, 4th grade.
That's
Dude, they made us
I have it, too.
They made us terrified of swine flu at that age. And they were like, you might die. You got to be careful. And then it kind of, like, silently dies out. And they completely forget about what the real like danger was in the first place, and we kind of forget it really, these are exaggerations, but you rely on the information from these quote-unquote experts
because you're supposed to trust them.
All right, let's play out a little bit more of this.
Did result in his department and other parts of Washington's public health bureaucracy getting billions of dollars in new funding. Of course, these episodes pale in comparison to what Fauci is now most famous for, overseeing the COVID pandemic. Early on, Fauci famously explained on TV that cloth masks cannot stop people infected with COVID from filling the air around them with virus particles. He then completely reversed his stance and advocated for universal masking and government mask mandates. He later claimed his earlier comments on television had been lies meant to trick the public into not buying masks to protect the supply of masks for healthcare workers, who in fact used a different kind of mask. He then acted confused when much of the public stopped trusting him. Fauci also went on record in early April 2020 calling for nationwide lockdowns, something he would later deny doing. When some states like Florida started to reopen months later, Fauci warned the governors they were taking a really significant risk. It quickly became obvious to anyone who was actually looking that Fauci was completely wrong about the effectiveness of masking and lockdowns. But Fauci ignored the data and kept pushing for these measures into 2021. After the vaccines had become available. Another fact that became obvious early in the pandemic was that children posed little risk of contracting and spreading COVID. Yet Fauci pushed for school closures and later school masking long after both were clearly shown to be unnecessary. Finally, Fauci...
No, dude, you got to understand. Cut back to us real quick. You guys got to understand one thing. Shutting down the schools, you made a whole like generation fall behind education-wise. You're talking about, like, guys, the stuff that we take for granted in terms of just knowing what to do, read, write cursive, all these types of things. Dude, these kids were trying to learn online for like 3 years. You've literally, I don't want to say made them retarded, but you pretty much like made a whole generation of people like severely behind.
Well, here's the thing about that, right? And they go, oh, it's mean to say that, whatever. Like, first off, fuck you. Like, it's not just that they're not going to school, that they're not reading, interacting with classmates, learning. They're not seeing people talk, okay? Tim, when you were a boy, before you could walk, when you were crawling around on the floor, you were watching your parents, you're watching their family, friends, whatever. You're watching people communicate, use their hands, use their mouth to talk, words coming out of their mouth, syllables being formed,
you're right.
Words being spoken. And then imagine a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or whatever. I think that's when you like learn to walk, whatever. Like, you're that age, and then everyone is like a faceless android. What the fuck?
And they were making, and we showed the mortality rate for kids that young. It was like,
I'd rather have my kid get COVID.
I was just say it wasn't even bad. It was like better rates than the older
lowest.
People. Yeah, they were the lowest rates. Yeah. So you see all the kids with their little mask on, and I'm like, what's going on?
Nightmare.
100%. Now, let's follow the documents here, guys, because man, it is just
repost the stream, y'all.
Unreal. Yeah, we would appreciate you guys reposting the stream because we're really about to get into this stuff. So we need to talk about this little term that we like to call. It's called the gain of function, and I'm going to explain this in plain English for you guys because it's important as we go forward. Okay, so gain of function basically means that scientists after...
We're going to make it worse. We're going to make it a lot more bad.
It means scientists after alter a virus so that it gains new ability, okay? So it might infect cells more easily. It might spread better. It might become more dangerous in a lab test. And so researchers say that this can help predict future outbreaks. And so the risk is that a more capable virus can escape. Right. So when Congress was asked whether the NIH funded gain-of-function research at Wuhan, they were asking whether U.S. money actually helped support the experiments that could make a virus more dangerous. So now let's look at the grant here. Wes, go ahead. This is going to be go to part 4, that PDF part 4.
I'm blanking on the exact specifics, but the people that swore that the gain of function stuff was a conspiracy and like you weren't even supposed to talk about that. You're supposed to say it came from like a pangolin that had sex with a bat or whatever. Like dude, you're over it.
Yeah, you were cooked.
Literally, it all comes out before Trump is even president that it was all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, you can't get us in trouble now because we got the deal from Biden. Isn't that nice?
Right. No, you're 100% right. Now let's pull up this document here. This is the first page on the PDF that were released. These are official files released from the government, guys. Okay, it don't get any better than this. So this is basically a federal grant report, and it tells us who got the money, who ran the project, and what project was studied. So you can see the recipient is EcoHealth Alliance. The project is called Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. Okay, so you've got this guy named Peter Daszak. He's listed on the project. Daszak? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And sorry, it's PTSD because I covered this I watch people cover this for years.
No, you're totally fine, dude. This is all kind of new to me right now as I'm really diving into it.
Sure.
So this grant runs from 2014 to 2019, before the pandemic, guys. Okay? 2019. Keep that in mind. Now, Fauci, he ran the NIAID, and so the NIAID sits inside of the NIH, okay?
National...
The terms get really... fuzzy. I'll break it down a little bit later.
National Institute for something.
Just know it's one of those 3-letter entities, basically. Okay, and so the NIH is basically the federal research money machine, and so EcoHealth is the outside group that received the funding for the bat coronavirus work. So I mean, this first receipt is pretty simple: federal funding connected to EcoHealth for bat coronavirus research. Now, let's scroll down to page 20 here, and we're gonna see, and you can to make it faster, you can just type in page 20 there, Wes. Top left corner, I think, has
Well, don't go to page 25 because there's definitely not going to be anything on there about us funding gain of research. Please don't. I have a patent. Did I not show you that already?
So what this document here, D, is participants. So this page shows the people who are connected to the project. So you've got this guy, Peter Daszak. I think, did I pronounce that right? Daszak. Okay. He's is EcoHealth. You've got this, I don't even know how to pronounce this guy.
Which one?
Zhang.
Zhang Yunzi.
Yeah.
Or Yunzi. I don't know how you say it. Zhang Yunzi. I think that's how you say it.
It's I can't pronounce these
Sounds
names.
Chinese.
No, it's this one third to the bottom here. Shi Zhengli.
Shi Zhengli.
Says PhD co-investigator. Okay, is Wuhan. Okay, and so the Wuhan Institute of Virology appears in the project network. So the chain is pretty visible without guessing. Okay, so you've got Fauci's agency, which sits inside of the NIH. Right. Okay, and then you have the NIH, which is funding, which connects to EcoHealth, and then EcoHealth, which connects to the Wuhan-linked coronavirus researchers. And this is the list of people who are involved. Okay, so go ahead and let's go to the graphic that I made to kind of show the web, the Fauci web. And this will kind of help you guys contextualize what's going on here in a more visual setting, because it is kind of hard to keep all of this stuff together.
Almost like it's by design. Almost like they're trying to conceal something.
No, Ashley is completely right. This is going to be crazy in the history books. Guys, we're living through history. I want you guys to understand. We're living through like Black Swan events.
Yeah. You guys are history as well. Everyone watching the broadcast right now, remember where you were when you learned about these things for the first time.
100%. Okay? So now when we look at this graphic, basically this is kind of like the chain, all right? So we've got Fauci, which led the NIAID, and then that sits underneath the NIH, and then you can see it going into EcoHealth, and then you can see that it worked with the Wuhan, and then that guy, Peter Daszak, is literally like the bridge. And then you have the Shi Zhangli, whatever her name is the Wuhan,
pretty good.
Is like the Wuhan researcher. And so then you've got Fauci later appears again on the Origins review and the congressional fight over the gain of research, over the gain of function research. And so now we need to look at what the research was really about. But dude, this stuff is crazy. Guys, this stuff is crazy.
Did you throw it up already?
So we're gonna go to that same document. I think it's part 4. Yeah. Part 4, page 2.
What are the major goals of the project?
Yeah, this is gonna be a tizzy.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Here, give me like
you can skim it if you need to.
Just give me like 15 seconds. Just talk for a little bit.
Okay, so
for a second.
Basically, what we're trying to understand here is like, what are they studying? And so basically the project goals are like words used like to use words like spillover risk. You've got receptor evolution, and you've got interspecies transmission. And basically in plain English, what they're doing is they're studying how bat coronaviruses can move towards humans. All right, that's literally what this is.
All right, I just read a really bad idea. Now I'm going to read it to you. Coronaviruses, significant threat to global health, demonstrated by SARS-CoV in 2002, and then the Middle Eastern version of COVID in that time period. Wildlife reservoirs of COVID were identified by our group as bat species, and since then, hundreds of novel bat COVID viruses have been discovered, including blah, blah. These and other wildlife species are hunted, traded, butchered, and consumed across Asia, creating a large-scale human-wildlife interface, transmission, and high risk of future emergence of novel coronaviruses. To understand the risk of zoonotic emergence, we propose to do a really stupid study where, I'm going to read it here, we will assess the nature and frequency of contact among animals and people in 2 critical human-animal interfaces, live animal markets in China, and then people that are getting exposed to the bats. In the markets, we hypothesize that viral emergence may be accelerated by the heightened mixing of host species leading to viral evolution, in contact with humans, blah, 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 blah. Work will follow specific aims.
We can skip this stuff.
Yeah.
But like do you see the point here? Like what's happening? They're basically like
they're doing the thing.
They're doing the thing.
Yeah.
And guys, Fauci knows that this is happening at the same time. This is before we had the lockdowns.
Well, there's a lot of bats, and they live in a cave, and sometimes people eat them. It's called China.
It's crazy. So now let's scroll down to page 15 here, and this is where it gets a little bit more specific, okay? So you have human ACE2 mice. You've got chimeric viruses and interspecies transmission. Basically, the ACE2 is a doorway SARS-like virus to enter human cells, and then human ACE2 is like mice, and mice are lab mice built with like human doorway.
It has something called a knockout gene, or it has genes added onto it. They're called knockout mice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know, you're very much spot on. And so like you just see kind of like this is showing you guys the research and how much they're spending doing this. And you can scroll down, you can see the graphs. They're graphing percent survival. They're literally measuring the survival rate.
They're doing the thing, dude.
I mean, dude, you can see the virus pictures. Scroll down.
Isn't that cute and cuddly?
Go down to 16. You'll see it. No, you're good. Just scroll down. Yeah. You can literally see the virus here. It's crazy. Okay, and so it says like assessment of interspecies transmission risk of bat related coronaviruses. And it's just, guys, this is so damning, but we can't even prosecute this guy.
Well, the thing is, it's beyond even that. Well, that's the culmination of it, so I guess it's not beyond it. But like back in the day, to insult Fauci would be like, I don't know, insulting
Pope,
civil rights leaders.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's
you're
like,
right.
oh, you're like, and the thing is like, it would come from the perspective like from 2020 to 2022.
You can cut back to us.
Keep in mind, Fauci had the seal of approval of not just Biden but Trump as well.
Yeah, he did.
Fauci is a true like uniparty figure.
Dude, he was literally like, if you ever take Jalen Brunson, who just won like the New York Knicks, he's like the champion horse on top of the world, spokesman of the, like literally the biggest all-star celebrity. All we heard was Fauci this, Fauci that, Fauci this, Fauci that. You know, even Cuomo, when I was in New York, just literally ball washing Fauci and just basically like, listen to this man. He is basically God, second to God for us.
Yeah, it was this weird thing where, like, I don't know, Trump had really bad pushback on what happened with COVID because it initially happened under him, right? And there's this weird thing where you can see Fauci as like a high-level like political operator. He then turned on Trump and was embraced by open arms of the Biden administration. And then to insult Fauci is to like be with the evil Donald Trump.
Right.
It's so weird because they were both endorsing.
Yeah, they were both endorsing him.
No difference in policy.
And so it's like
Trump is the father of the vaccine. Biden's not the father of the vaccine, and Trump says it himself. He goes, "I am the father of the vaccine." You're like, I'm not a fan of the vaccine, you know. So go ahead.
Don't worry, guys. I'm feeling good with the vaccine and the booster. I've got superpowers now.
Well, you see, the thing is, Tim,
I'm clairvoyant.
10% of people do develop superpowers. And, you know, I tried to take it myself, and I developed the ability to be pardoned from any and all crimes that I commit. That is my superpower from taking the vaccine.
Do you remember this is off tangent?
That was a good line by me.
That's a good line. Do you know that? Do you remember like at one point they were like, I think it was Trump. He was like, he was basically like drink bleach or something to like
bleach has. We figured it out. A lot of people aren't gonna die.
Guys, I'm having amnesia. I do you remember this? Basically told us to like drink bleach and it'll cure the virus.
I said, what are you cleaning that bathroom with? She said, oh, I'm cleaning it with bleach. It kills everything. I said, oh, it kills everything? Does it kill COVID too? Now we've got all the bleach we need.
Well, you see, Mr. President, that's very astute of you. You're a very smart man.
That's right. That's why I'm the father of the vaccine. And that's the thing is like Operation Warp Speed, like sped up testing that you can't see for 98 years.
And when you keep everything so fast and you keep the news changing, like people aren't going to sit there and question it.
And there's also the emergency use authorization. Do we think that was warranted? Having lived through it now and realizing that it really only affected people with severe prior conditions that were very, very fat and old.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Like, I mean, people who were already like one virus away from basically dying.
Right. Well, just the thing is, like, you got too many prior conditions. You just
gone.
That your body is a machine. And when the bioreactor stops functioning.
So now where I want to go with the story here, Wes, go ahead and pull up that part 1. And we're going to look at these pages 1 through 3. So we got to talk about like this lab question. And so go ahead and throw this on the screen. Basically, this is Lawrence Livermore, which is like a U.S. national lab. And so in May of 2020, they were already analyzing whether Wuhan had the conditions for a lab-modified coronavirus release scenario.
Well, it's just like I thought that we hate the Chinese, that they're evil and they're spying on us, but we're gonna do viral research in their country.
Literally, the very first line here, you can read that. Like,
and this is why, like, I don't buy into like hating on other nations. He's like, dude, the government does this insane shit.
So read literally the first paragraph there.
I got you. We assess all the necessary conditions for an accidental release of a laboratory-modified coronavirus. I'm going to read that again. We assess all of the necessary conditions for an accidental release of a laboratory-modified coronavirus, specifically a coronavirus adapted to recognize human cell receptors. Uh-oh! That already doesn't sound good. Were present at the Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology in mid to late 2019.
So
they had COVID.
Help me understand this, because you probably were paying more attention to the lies, but didn't they say they weren't 100% sure? They weren't even mentioning the lab at this point in May.
So the lab came up.
Cut back to us.
The lab came up because, number one, people like Peter Hotez and others, they like to tell on themselves. So like people started looking into everyone that was around the COVID infrastructure once it started to look like a bit of a psyop. But people didn't look into this until, very late in the game, maybe even 2021, 2022. They were like, okay, we found out that there is a Wuhan Institute of Virology in that town. Like we're epicenter. Maybe people were talking about it before, but if you said anything like this prior to 2023, they would kick you off social media. So
okay, so now, I mean, literally, even just like read this beginning of the second paragraph here.
The admission of guilt?
Yeah, this is the admission of guilt. This is literally the stone that...
We judge that the following conditions need to be met to result in an accidental release of a laboratory-modified strain capable of producing the COVID-19 outbreak.
Okay, and so now if I scroll down to page 3 here, that's page 2. Okay, this is literally a visual of them showing exactly how this would happen. And they're saying, check, check, check.
By the way, I would fight and die for a president that would unredact things and actually let us see. You know what I mean?
No, we can't do that, Rex.
Epstein files.
Can't do that.
EcoHealth Alliance 2020 election.
Stop being racist, bro.
I know, bro. I know, dude.
Jeez.
So racist.
You just said that you wanted all the minorities dead.
No,
that's basically what you just told me.
I did say kill them all, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, this graphic, this is literally coming from them. You've got the part 1 here. You've got the initial bat coronavirus, okay? And then it's going into the infection.
Bat coronavirus, there's a targeted mutation.
Yep.
And then we assess the viral function in the cells. So they see how the virus goes in. They see how it develops, a pathogenesis, and then transmission, and they assess the gain of function. They say, how did it spread? How quickly did it spread? What symptoms did the spread result in, both in the initial host and then the cell culture, I guess, as well?
Yes.
In vivo isn't in vitro like the actual organism itself, and in vivo is the cell.
You know more about this than I do.
I don't know.
I'm the engineer. You got more on the medical than me. This is kind of out of my wheelhouse here. Like, I was sitting here trying to piece this all for you guys. This stuff, they make this stuff confusing so that you can't follow the trail.
Cytopathic effects, so like cytokine storm, thing like that, like inflammation.
But correct me if I'm wrong. They really were trying to lie about this whole gain of function.
Well, no. The thing is like people were so like I remember being in the office in early 2020 and watching the videos of like Chinese people like puking blood up on the train, and like that was fake, and it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It was something else, some other illness, some other disease. But like people like this, it was a real mystery meat thing for a while.
Right.
Like, it really was. People like, oh no, back in the day, I knew day one or whatever. Nobody knew. Okay. No one knew what this was. I remember seeing like, it was from 4chan. It was like a Corona-chan. Like it was like a virus girl type of like Japanese like anime thing. And one of the IT guys had put that on the fridge of the office. And I was like, what's that? And that was how I found out about COVID-19. So, like, people didn't even know. But when you started talking about stuff like this, they kick you off social media, say you're
scary times.
Yeah. And I mean, Fauci, he was very dark under Biden. You know, Trump, it's very dark and evil too, but at least it's overseas. Most of the time. Some of the time, at least half the time.
Speaking of Fauci and his dark side, let's uncover some of his dark laundry here. Let's go ahead and let's pull up the PDF part 2.
We're gonna take the wig off,
and we're gonna go down to page 2.
I don't know. I'm ugly again. Now everyone's gonna hate on me because I don't have the magic great wig on.
We're gonna go to page 2, and we're gonna start reading this. Dude, I'm getting Epstein file PTSD right now. This is what this feels like.
Well, Epstein he didn't exist.
Redacted.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I think Clapper, is that James Clapper?
I think so.
Is probably too politically hot. Not Fauci. In addition to being a customer, he'll be seen by many as having a conflict of interest. I could live without quote-unquote formers, but other possibilities might be people like blank. Is blank retired? Some CIA types maybe. Would blank do it? Not moral, too public. Is this Fauci? All right. I'm just gonna read it in voice. Below are the names for names for potential reviewers that we've come up with. The first four have all been medical, scientific backgrounds and extensive experience in public health and infectious diseases. Blank and blank have also had substantial government, particularly CDC, experience as well. Blank is a political scientist by training, but has done a lot of work in and out of the government on global health and international security. We've added Clapper because we think we need a reviewer with a deep background in the intelligence community, I see, to look at this in addition to experts with more of an infectious
So
disease.
what I'm gathering from this email as I was reading it, I mean, it's basically it's like kind of possible reviewers for COVID origins assessment. So they're trying to pick like the poster child
right
to do this. And so, you know, they literally write here that like not Fauci, he's kind of a customer, he's being seen as having a conflict of interest, but still somehow they literally pick this guy. But basically what we're seeing from these emails is like they're sitting here going back and forth trying to understand who's the guy that we point out that creates the narrative. That's the guy that everyone pays attention to. This is literally what we're watching here in plain sight, is like all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes.
It's called a cover-up. It's called a cover-up, ladies and gentlemen.
100%.
And the thing is, we got a super chat. The thing is they'll tell you cover-ups aren't real. They'll tell you conspiracy theory is not real. Well, who came up with the term conspiracy theory? CIA. Okay? So, like...
What's the quickest way to write somebody off?
Who said that?
No, I'm saying like if you just say like it's conspiracy and you just, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you know, absolutely.
And you just call them cuckoo crazy, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like there's no way that you
Cocoa
can
Puffs
like
are
believe.
so good.
Sorry about, I couldn't read that super
Where'd
chat.
it go?
I don't know. It might have been on, the other, the main one for the Texas
we
State.
owe you a steak dinner.
Yeah, well, I'll go see if I can find that after the show. So now let's do this real quick. Let's go to part 1, and then we're gonna look at pages 21. Yeah, let's go here, 21. And guys, this is just me going through the paperwork. This stuff is heavy, dude. There's like 400 pages worth of documents here.
All right.
Okay. So now we just kind of need to look at, this is basically Fauci entering like the origins review. And remember, the origins review is like us saying like, where did the virus come from and the guy who's being picked.
They didn't want to investigate it for a while. I do remember that.
No, they didn't.
That was cute.
So basically what this email chain is it's literally titled COVID Origins, Dr. Fauci Recommendations. And so basically what this email is going to show us is that Fauci knew the real coronavirus experts, and then they say Fauci basically recommended people to the intelligence community who they should contact. And so then they mentioned an article Fauci highlighted, and then there's also the same official with conflict problem and still has recommendations moving through the origins review. So it's just like it's messy. People who have conflicts of interest, the guy who's making recommendations isn't trustworthy, and he's telling you, it's like Rex, the serial killer around the block tells you who's the best babysitter around town. You know, it's like, what are we doing here?
Well, hey, he's got his priorities straight.
Right. So now if we read this, he literally says, thanks for the feedback. In this particular case, Dr. Fauci, his background would absolutely like to follow up on his outreach suggestions.
Ooh.
In the case, he is not a policymaker. He is a subject matter expert with a wealth of knowledge about current and historical research. Who knows better than most who the real coronavirus experts are? So the guy that put beagles' heads into flesh-eating bugs,
Yes.
HIV tests on like kids.
Right. No,
He's a subject matter expert.
He gave the gay people with AIDS drugs that did nothing for the AIDS and destroyed their kidneys. He put them on chemo. Basically.
Crazy.
Wild.
Crazy. And so we're taking recommendations for this from this guy. Okay? And so now
right, and he's not nice. That's like people are like, oh, like, a lot of like older ladies are like, I'm nice. I like people that are nice. people that present themselves as like cute and cuddly, like Anthony Fauci, who you talk about the beagles. Yes, he did put the flesh-eating mites in them and whatever. He also removed their larynx, their voice box, so they couldn't scream.
Crazy.
So like that's the level of evil we're talking about here, and that's the type of guy that developed the vaccine. Does that trust that? It's like you're saying the serial killer with the.
Hey, who's the best babysitter in town?
That's a great analogy. I really like that, Tim. Good
now. Work. Cody's asking, are we safe?
Yeah,
I think we're okay.
I'm heavily armed. Don't break into my house.
No, yeah, I trust.
I will shoot you.
I definitely trust Rex to do the right thing. And we've got Rupert here.
Yeah, Rupert will take care of it.
Rupert will take care of it. Okay. So I mean, look. Is this an email? Oh yeah. This is an email from, I think, Fauci.
Right.
Okay, so he says, for those who don't know me,
I'm the blank, and as such, leading the intelligence community's 90-day POTUS COVID origin study. Per below, Dr. Fauci recommended that the intelligence community reach out to the below individuals who were co-authors of the attached paper as part of the study. Blank is on the list of, what'd you say that was? SME?
Subject matter expert.
Subject matter expert in the intelligence community has already consulted blank, but blank and blank and blank, and as far as I know, neither has been consulted. Okay, so a bunch of people got rejected. As of today, we have 43 days before our final paper is due to the president. Is that Biden or is that Trump?
Let me see the date here. It would probably be Biden here.
Okay, so July.
Yeah, 2021.
Biden.
It's Biden.
Okay, just a little clarification there. So if we're going to reach out to them, we need to do so as soon as possible. Is this doable? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So they're scrambling.
They're scrambling. They're like, we got to figure it out. And the president has his own set of deadlines. Okay, and so now we go into the whole federal, we go into Congress and him literally lying on the stand about what was going on. So let's go to part 3 and let's go down to page 63. Okay, so he's literally lying here, and he basically told Congress the NIH has never or does not ever fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute. Okay, and we just showed all the receipts. So let's go ahead, go down to page 63, Wes, on part 3. Crazy, crazy stuff. I love how we have, the United States has receipts for everything. We just really never freaking release anything when it's important. It's like after we're already distracted doing something else or worried about something else.
Well, after the punishment window.
After the punishment, yeah, you're right.
We can't get in trouble, Tim. We can't get busted, dude.
Yeah, we definitely assassinated
ourselves before we release the information. Good grief.
Okay, so go to page 63 on that, Wes.
Do you want me to read?
Yeah, go ahead.
The whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Following up on our conversation this morning, we have reviewed transcripts from some of Dr. Fauci's appearances on the Hill. Based on that review, it seems likely that the whistleblower complaint was referring to exchanges Dr. Fauci had with Senator Rand Paul on May 11th and July 20th. During the May 11th hearing, Dr. Fauci stated, the NIH is not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute. During the July 20th hearing, Senator Paul confronted Dr. Fauci in the prior statement, asking him if he wanted to retract it. Dr. Fauci, of course, stood by it. Stand by me. Thus, while it is possible that Dr. Fauci has spoken to Congress about gain-of-function research at some point, he's testified a number of times. I think that the key thing is that what we've seen is consistent with the point that the Secretary made to you, that this is something they've considered, and Dr. Fauci's point, he's repeated about the NIH not funding a gain-of-function, blah, blah, blah. We've thus updated the draft letter, and they're covering it up. They're covering it up, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
So you already knew about this gain-of-function stuff, like prior to?
Well, the thing is like, I'm just thinking about InfoWars, the network. Some of our best work was during COVID, and we had a number of people,
come back to us.
We had a number of people come on that were, discussing the thing at a time and like trying to figure out, like this report is trying to figure out where did it come from, and like you got scientists, you got virologists, you got doctors that are talking about how these things spread and what these things are. And, with as it became more and more clear about the transmission and that being the radical factor, nothing had ever been that quote unquote infectious before.
Right.
You just using logic, you would arrive at gain of function
and help people understand why gain of function is so important.
It was also that, and it was when they got the virus under the microscope. And I remember people saying it's like 3 viruses stuck together. I remember hearing people. That was the first thing I heard. I don't know who I heard it from the first time. That was the first thing I heard about all this stuff.
And help people summarize exactly why gain of function is so important here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So they're making the virus more transmissible in order. in order to study it to prevent further disease that we might create organically. But in reality, this thing escaped the lab, whether that was deliberately or on accident, and it spread like wildfire, as we all know.
So literally causing a modern-day tragedy, because I know so many people who never even talked about this. I'm pretty much done with the deep dive here. Guys, my dad had a coach bus company, which relies completely on transportation, by the way. When I tell you, like 80% of the industry, especially all the small business guys, except for like the Greyhounds and the Dacos and the Peter Pan buses, all wiped out. All wiped out in a matter of like, after building the business for so long.
Tourism, man.
I completely forgot about this story. Like, had to sell the buses, had to sell everything. Dude, my dad was crushed.
It's tough.
And that was like, dude, he let his dream die that day. And now he's kind of like in retirement mode where he's like, dude, I can't afford to start again. I'm turning 60 soon. I ran the last race that I could possibly at this age, and now I'm leaving it up to you.
And that's like just in America, you know, like for our lifetime, like those events just happened. Boom, 2008 crisis. Boom, you know, war. Boom, COVID. And it's just like, well, you got to deal with it. And it's like, well, I don't have my job anymore because of the environment this Black Swan event, like you said earlier, created.
100%. And the craziest thing, the bus that he bought for like $114,000 literally had to sell back to the bank for pennies, and it was back on the market for like less than 30.
Brutal. It was a wild
crazy
time. It was a really wild time for sure.
Crazy. So when I see all of this stuff and then I see all the lies, dude, the deception, they don't care. No. They do not care. This guy has been a known issue for a very long time.
Known quantity.
For a long ass time. And if you don't think our intelligence agencies don't know what the hell's going on, then just think about all the people who are compromised.
Absolutely.
Wait, Wes, what is that? Is that a video?
What is what? Oh, no, he made a Primal Core app.
You did?
Yeah, let's throw this up here. All right, really quick. Dr. Fauci does not want you to know about Primal Core. He doesn't want you to know about Elemental Drive or Ultimate Ashwagandha. We have the best supplements in the world at GoPrimalCore.com. If you guys want to do something really amazing, we had some super chats, really appreciate those. Y'all got to go to GoPrimalCore.com. That is an amazing multi-mineral blend. There's a lot of, people take a daily multivitamin, whatever. They don't know what's in it. It's like the worst ratio of things and the worst form of the active ingredient. We have the best form and everything you need. The selenium, the copper, the boron, the zinc, the vitamin D3, 5,000 IU. All of that is an Elemental Drive, as well as Ultimate Ashwagandha. Thing you got to know about ashwagandha, everyone knows, it lowers cortisol, lowers stress. How does it do that? It takes the cholesterol, and then less of the cholesterol, the master thing used to make all hormones, goes to making the cortisol, which of course makes you gain fat and lose muscle, and more of it goes towards making testosterone, right? So that's what it does, along with being GABAergic, anti-anxiety. It's also phenomenal for women, great for women to take, absolutely amazing, does a number of things as well. Go on Google Scholar, go on PubMed, go do your own research. You don't have to listen to me do it. These are just anecdotal statements on my part. But go to GoPrimalCore.com for the best. And when you get these things, what can they do, Tim, to get some money off?
Yeah, you do that. Core 25% off. And I'm going to tell you guys right now what I'm doing here. So like I was taking the product early on, and then I kind of like got off of it because of my just lack of attention to detail, because I'm just so distracted, and it's just something simple I could be doing in the morning. And anyone who's been watching the show up till now, you realize there's a lot of stuff that we do in and outside of the show. So I've hit a point where like my body is now fighting back against me because it's not able to keep up with the pace at which I'm doing things, and I'm working. I'm literally doing this. I'm running a company outside of this, helping run a company outside of this with my co-founders. And then I'm also literally a full-time engineer, 40 to 50 hours a week. Okay.
That's now, what you got to do in America.
So now, what I'm realizing, because I'm hitting what the clinical version of like burnout is.
Overtraining. It's like lifting too much.
Yeah, where you're lifting too much. Where I'm literally getting like brain fog. Like I can't function. I think one time we were on live and you said something and I couldn't respond.
It
to you
wasn't
guys.
that bad. It's never as bad as you think.
No,
it
I know.
is. I've had shows that I've thought is like, man, like I'm cooked after this, and then I go rewatch it. I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
Right. So my whole point being is like my body. I'm also getting blood work too. My body is literally deficient in all of this different things because I'm not getting it through like the natural nutrients. It's very hard to eat the quantity of things that you need for your body to keep
Andrew,
up. So literally every single freaking morning, you guys should be doing this with me. I'm literally taking Elemental Drive.
Yeah,
it literally has all the core minerals. My mom's like literally in the medical field. She's like, these are the ingredients you need. She literally is like, magnesium. You should be taking some zinc. You should be taking some boron. And I was like, wait. Rex formulated something that I should be taking every morning.
In the ideal form as well, magnesium, bisglycinate. Of course, you got the 5,000 IU vitamin D3.
She was talking about vitamin D, yep.
You got the boron in there, which is super underrated. Everyone needs to know about that. The thing is, dude, is like Andrew said, like a W Rex, like y'all keep working or whatever. Here's the thing. I'm the lazy one. I'm the Snorlax. Tim is like go all the time. And you're doing like 3 different things right now that all require, like at least like 25 hours a week of like serious, at least mental focus.
It's mental focus and then also brain switching tasks constantly.
And I think the thing is like we don't notice how like depleted the soil is. We don't get the micronutrients. We don't get the minerals that we need, especially like magnesium, man. Magnesium is so important. Just take all of that at once. Go primalcore.com, Elemental Drive, get the ashwagandha 2. That's like the top rated I'm like Jimmy from South Park, adaptogen.
And what I'm hearing from what I was researching and understanding about the magnesium, it's supposed to also help you sleep better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Also aids in like digestion, bowel stuff as well. Like it supports over 300 enzymatic processes throughout the body.
Yeah. So I'm literally like being super vulnerable with you guys and open. I literally have to take this stuff now every single day because I'm realizing I can't keep operating and my body's literally screaming at me, hey, do something about it. Now it's time for me to really do something about it. And I'm sure other people have also existed some form of burnout before. And from what I've heard from the reviews, and when I was taking it, it was really actually helping me. And I don't know why I stopped. That's on me. But for the people who have been taking it consistently, they say it's basically the silent energy.
Oh, no, absolutely. And that's the thing is like we forget to take it. I would say don't forget to take it because we have it, No,
like, 100%. I literally grabbed 2 packs yesterday. I was
phenomenal.
Like, Rex, where's our Elemental Drive? I need to be like on this stuff like a freaking regiment. Like I'm not playing games anymore. I really need to wake up. So
good plug. But what else do we have?
No. That is pretty much it. It's from my deep dive. My whole thing is like, dude, when I look at all these different things and I just look at how I was lied to, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Just straight up lied to.
Well, the thing is like they don't have any respect for us because the people that have been old. And here's the thing: it's not to make this an age thing, and people hate it when I do this, but I have to do it. It's just like if you look at people that are under the age of 30 and how little of a time that we had when this place was cool versus like the vast majority of our time now, especially like when you're a kid, you always look back at things as being better. But like the difference now is like this is not cool. It's not cool to, subject people to a giant pandemic from a virus that they paid to create. It's not cool to take us to war and spend $400 billion or whatever twice.
Quick thought experiment. And not to drag this out, but like
no, you're good.
You tell me, do you think that technically we probably have been, or Americans have been going through this level of propaganda for a very long time? It just independent media and access to information just didn't exist. Well, it was just more hidden back then.
There's a Bible verse about something about like don't like with temptation there also be like a way of escape like from the temptation. I think the dog just like the battering ram Lord of the Rings.
Holy crap!
Hey buddy,
he freaked me out. I'm like, what the heck?
Okay, so like, what were you asking?
No, I was just saying like these things of the propaganda and like the things we're struggling have probably always existed.
I think the mass media and the ability for everyone now to be a reporter or to be a commentator, just like it's the old syndrome line from The Incredibles when everyone's super, no one will be. Everyone has the ability now to find out the truth. It's just do they want to do it, right? And I think people do, and that's why we do shows like this, and that's why alternative media has just blossomed over the past 10 years. Things just can't really be, the government can't hide their operations forever.
Yeah, but just to make you guys aware, there's also a lot of like brain rot and slop out there and people who are just pushing fake information and not doing their due diligence and just doing like clip farming and like rage baiting. Don't listen to those types of people. That's why you guys come here to really get the deep dive, to get Rex's breakdowns on the current events, because that is important. We have no spin to the story here.
My thing is like, so what we do is like, we're presenting you with the highest quality information that we can get our hands on both like the latest developing events that y'all want to hear about, but also, causation and looking back at, like the root causes and doing the deep dive and finding out like, hey, what is this actual topic that we're discussing? And the funny thing to me about that is when we do the deep dive, people are like, I already know this part, that's part, the other part, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, like, yeah, why haven't you fixed everything yet? Why haven't you told everyone else what you know yet? And it's just this thing of like this crab in the bucket mentality
100%.
With some people. Like what we do is we try to give people the ability to check something out for themselves and to think critically about it. And what we try to do is talk to each other and have conversations, arguments, debates, whatever, over various topics, because it's not for us, right? It's not about Rex, not about Tim, it's not about us. It's about you. It's about you guys at home and what you think about what we're covering. And that is the difference between Jeremy Boring sitting on his giant, like a gay leather couch trying to pontificate about and us. We're just two real dudes, and we're in here. We're just covering the news, talking about life and deep stuff.
I'm so sad that the people who just joined the stream from Due Dissidence rating the stream.
No,
you guys missed a phenomenal deep dive that we just did
on Fauci and
like,
Anthony Aguilar.
Quite literally, we just concluded that like 5 minutes ago.
Dude, we love you guys. I mean, I was watching Due Dissidence as I prepped for this show. To give y'all a recap, if you're joining from Due Dissidence, we had Anthony Aguilar on for an hour and a half, talked to him about the latest events going on with the failed negotiations with Foreign Minister Arachi, J.D. Vance, all of that, Lindsey Graham, Mark Levin, you name it. Then we went into the deep dive covering Fauci and gain-of-function research and the EcoHealth Alliance scandal. And now we're kind of here at the end of the show. Please subscribe.
Yeah,
please subscribe.
The biggest thing you guys need to know about what we just talked about with the Anthony Fauci scandal, he's just a criminal, just straight up criminal. He got pardoned by Biden, and there's a reason behind the pardoning. Right. Now we kind of are understanding. Tulsi Gabbard, if you guys ever watched the video.
Hold on. Someone just called me Shill Jr. How are we Shill Jr. when I create a product, I manufacture it, I store it, I ship it, I do the e-commerce for it. It's 100% you're buying it from me versus I bet you watch 10, 20, 30 different comedians, people that read a code for a greens powder they don't even know about. Okay? So I'm an honest businessman. I'm a humble water filter merchant. I've been doing this since I was 8 years old. And you don't get to call me a shill for doing honest business. Go protest in front of a Whole Foods. Stop selling supplements, you're shills. Get out of here. Okay, but don't. I love you. Subscribe, please. I love you a lot.
No, 100%. Yeah. No, we definitely appreciate everyone that's in here. Basically, all you need to know about is Tulsi Gabbard came out. She's like, this is my last Hail Mary because I'm getting kicked out of my position. And now I'm ready to release the files on Anthony Fauci. And basically, the biggest thing that's happening there is Fauci had all these conflicts of interest and what he was involved in prior to actually getting in and being the poster child of the vaccine and everything.
Right.
And so there's this research called the gain-of-function research.
You make it worse.
Where you basically add all of these different elements to see how bad you can make a virus and how transmissible. You can probably explain it better than me.
Well, yeah. So they just engineer the virus, to be more transmissible, to have worse pathology. And they say, okay, well, we've selected it, to be hyper infectious. Why don't we maybe accidentally or on purpose release it?
Right. And so what he did is he went on in trial in front of Congress, literally lied about that.
They never did it.
Said they never did it.
We just showed the document.
And they said, we don't know where the virus is from. And they literally knew where the virus was from all the way from like very early 2020. It's as simple as that. So I'm sorry that you guys are joining in late, but I suggest you guys go and rewatch some of it, especially with Anthony Aguilar. He literally was in Gaza as a whistleblower, seeing the absolute carnage and the degradation of what was happening to the people on the ground. The lack of food. Literally, they had 9 trucks and one box of food essentially feeding 200 calories worth of food to a person.
Well, here's the thing. They say, okay, you can have food, but you can't have water. And then he goes, okay, why can't we have water? And then he goes and looks at the contract. It's in the contract that they can't bring water in. It's in the contract that it only can be this food, and it's 200 calories a meal. That's what they consider a meal to be. Okay, so it's forced starvation. It's controlled starvation, whatever you want to call it, genocide.
100%. So we definitely appreciate all of you guys. If you are coming over from Due Distance Stream, you definitely should catch us on Thursdays and Sundays. We do this at
Keith
7.
And Russell. They're
we
amazing.
do this at 7:30. You've probably seen Russ. I mean, sorry.
I did see him. I was on with Jose Vega.
Well, I was saying you've probably seen Rex on Due Dissonance, where he's done a guest appearance. We definitely need to get them on here.
Yes.
Because we haven't actually had the opportunity to interview them.
I bet we got a lot of fans of Jose Vega in here right now. Jose, friend of ours. And,
Yep.
We've met him. Phenomenal guy.
100%. So we appreciate you guys. We're going to log off here. It has been a phenomenal stream. I highly encourage you guys to go rewatch like the second half of the Anthony Aguilar, and then also watch part of my deep dive, because it's really going to cover a lot of things that you guys need to know. You guys can catch us next Thursday. We will be here live at 7:30, and we will have another phenomenal guest the following Sunday. Please like, subscribe. Simple thing you can do.
Love you all.
Thank you. God bless.